Chapter 1497. The Dark Tiger King. 4. Your wife did nothing wrong. Lung Roashua let out a soft sigh. She could understand the tiger's anxiety, so she naturally wouldn't be bothered by its rudeness. Tiger King. Both noble son Ning and your wife did nothing wrong. So if you want to settle this matter, you should find the culprit. Grape could not help but interrupt. What you said makes sense. After hearing Grape's words, the Dark Tiger King's eyes widened and stared at Myling. Human, hand over my child, and I can let you die a quick death. I didn't take your child. Myling stammered. She knew that she couldn't take out the two little tigers, or she would die. Human, since you're so insensible, don't blame me for being impolite. After the Dark Tiger King finished speaking, it raised its huge claws high up in the air, intending to land them on Mei Ling's body. However, when Mei Ling saw this scene, she was so scared that she had already collapsed onto the ground. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. If you kill me, you won't be able to find your child. Myling said as she cried. Damned human, you dare to threaten me? The Dark Tiger King was enraged. Fuck. It had never been threatened by anyone in its long life. However, this detestable human woman made it feel as if it was unable to follow its heart. It was even more afraid of shooting at the rat for fear of breaking the vases. This was because its newborn child was in her hands. Therefore, when it heard her threat, the Dark Tiger King was at a loss for what to do. I am telling the truth. If you kill me, you can forget about seeing your children. I hid them in a place that no one knows. If I die, they will starve to death. Myling mustered her courage and threatened. Although she was very scared when she said this, she believed that the Tiger King would not abandon her child. All right, you win. If you return my child, I will not kill you. The Dark Tiger King sighed and said helplessly. Although he said that, his hatred for Myling grew even deeper. For the sake of its own child, it could spare her this time, but if she offended it again, then don't blame it. You mean what you say? Myling asked worriedly, her body still trembling slightly. I'm not a human. The Dark Tiger King said disdainfully. He was basically saying that only humans would make irresponsible remarks. All right then, they'll believe you this once. Mei Ling said fearfully. She then walked behind a huge tree and took out a small black tiger from her storage ring. It was just like the Dark Tiger King. As the little tiger was just born, it had yet to open its eyes. Its tiny body was not even the size of an adult's fist. It was a fluffy ball and looked very cute. Myling walked to the Dark Tiger King and placed the little black tiger on the ground. Then, she ran back to Lung Roashua and the others. My child, my child. The Dark Tiger King was extremely excited as it used its paws to gently pick up its little baby. This was the first time it had seen its own child. However, when it picked up its baby, it realized that something was wrong. Its baby's breathing was very weak and intermittent. Seeing this, it was angry again. Human, what a good thing you've done. The Dark Tiger King let out a loud roar as its pitch-black eyes looked as if they were about to spew fire. Its newborn child was supposed to be breastfed, but it was stolen by this damned woman and had no idea where she had placed it. As a result, its breathing was weak. This was clearly a sign of its body being unhealthy. Otherwise, its child would have been able to open its eyes by now. Didn't I return your child to you? Mei Ling played dumb. In fact, she had taken away two little tigers, one black and one white. The female tiger was injured, so she was careful and returned the black one to the Dark Tiger King. She was betting that the big black tiger didn't know how many children it had. In this way, she could have a beautiful white tiger. How proud would that be? However, her originally happy thoughts turned into guilt because of the Dark Tiger King's anger. You still have the nerve to say that? I had two children, but you only returned one to me. Furthermore, you caused my child to become like this. Quickly hand over my other child, or else you'll have to bear the consequences. The Dark Tiger King squinted its eyes and said in an extremely displeased manner. There are two of them, but now there's only one left. That one is dead. Myling's mind turned quickly, and she plucked up her courage to lie. Anyway, this tiger had said that as long as she returned the children to it, it would not kill her. It did not say that she had to return 2 children to it. So, Myling thought that her life was saved, and so she lied without any fear. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? I think you really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. The Dark Tiger King scoffed. Humans are truly cunning. They actually thought that they had found a loophole. Oomph. It wasn't that easy to fool. Believe it or not, I've already returned the child to you. You can't kill me. Myling reminded. You did return my child to me, but I was the only one you returned. Furthermore, you caused my child to become like this. Do you think I will let you off? The Dark Tiger King laughed. This human was too full of himself. He had said that he wouldn't kill her if his child was safe and sound. However, this wasn't the case. One of his children's whereabouts was unknown, and the one in his palm was on the verge of death. How could he let her go? If you've returned it, then you've returned it. As the Tiger King, you can't go back on your word. Myling kept biting on the Dark Tiger King's words. This was her life-saving charm. Human, do you think I'll let you go just because you played mind games with me? The Dark Tiger King laughed in spite of itself. Its own child was already on the verge of death. If it stubbornly kept its promise, it would look down on itself. Moreover, even though it had promised that it would not kill this human woman as long as she returned a child, how did this human do it? Feeling the killing intent in the Dark Tiger King's voice, Myling's heart trembled. She gathered her courage and asked, I've already returned the child to you. What else do you want? I'm going to kill you. The Dark Tiger King roared. After it finished speaking, it stretched out its huge palm and grabbed Myling in front of it as if it was holding a little chick. Arg, let me go. Quickly let me go. Myling, who was suspended in midair, was flailing her limbs around. Her heart began to tremble. This time, she was really prepared to die. Let you go? Didn't you say that my other child is dead? Then you can go and be buried with it. The Dark Tiger King said without any emotion. He didn't die. It didn't die. If you let me go, they'll return it to you. Myling cried. Chapter 1498. Temporary Partner 1. Do you think I'll believe you again? The Dark Tiger King squinted his eyes and asked with a faint smile. I'm telling the truth. Trust me one more time. If I dare to lie to you, it won't be too late for you to kill me. Myling cried. That's good. I'm giving you one last chance. The Dark Tiger King glared at Myling and threw her to the ground. It then released a trace of its aura so that she would not dare to play any tricks. Mei Ling, who had been thrown to the ground, trembled as she took out the other dying white tiger from her beast storage ring. She placed it in front of the Dark Tiger King and looked at the Tiger King without daring to move. She was extremely afraid. Although she wanted to ask for help, she was so scared that she couldn't say anything. Seeing the little white tiger whose breathing was even weaker than the little black tiger's, the rage in the darkness Tiger King's heart rose. At this moment, it even had the thought of dismembering this woman into 1,000 pieces. Its good child had actually been harmed by this detestable human woman into such a weak state. This human truly deserved death. At the thought of this, it increased its pressure. Myling, who was under great pressure and fear both mentally and physically, actually peed her pants unconsciously. Seeing this, everyone looked at Mei Ling with even more disdain. Even Chi Fei felt embarrassed, but no one wanted to plead for her. If it wasn't for her, how would they have provoked the Dark Tiger King? Right now, their lives were in the Dark Tiger King's hands. If the Tiger King was unhappy, none of them would be able to leave this place alive. So at this time, they didn't have the mood to care about Myling's life. However, Myling, who was curled up and trembling on the ground, didn't realize her ugly state at all. At this moment, her heart was filled with fear. Sister, the 2 little tigers are going to die. Suddenly, Qingju's voice rang out in Lung Ruoxu's heart. Why would I? Lung Ruoxue replied in disbelief. From what she knew, weren't beastie all very strong? Even if it was a baby beast without parents, it would not die easily unless it met its natural enemy. Sister, this is the divine realm. If a cub is born here, it will be very difficult for it to grow up safely without the protection of its parents. Firstly, there are many natural enemies here, and secondly, the spiritual chi here is too brutal, so the cub can't absorb it normally. Thus, after they're born, they need their mother to feed them personally. However, these two little fellows were stolen from their birth, and their mother had a difficult labor when giving birth to them. Thus, I guess that these two little fellows have yet to drink their mother's milk. It's also because of this that their bodies are slightly weaker than ordinary baby beasts. Qingju explained. Not only that, during this period of time, they have been locked up in the beast storage ring by that hateful woman. That place has a suppressing effect on the beasts themselves, so it has also caused their bodies to become even weaker. Therefore, they won't be able to live for long. However, Big Sister should be able to save them. Qingju added, they're too small, they can't eat pills. Lung Ruoxue shook her head in denial. After hearing Qingju's words, she did have the intention to help the two little fellows. However, their bodies were too weak and could not withstand the medicinal effects of the pills. Even if she wanted to save them, she had no way of doing so. At the thought of this, she looked at the two little fur balls lying on the palm of the shadow, Tiger King. Lung Ruoxue's heart felt terrible. She liked Beastie. These two cute little fellows had not even seen their parents once, and they were going to leave them forever. Even a person with a heart of stone would not feel comfortable seeing this. Sister, if you can cure their mother and let their mother feed them milk, they will be able to survive for the time being. When they're a little older, you can give them pills and their lives will be saved. Qingju thought for a while and reminded, yeah, why didn't I think of that? Lung Ruoxue was overjoyed. If she could cure the female tiger, her mother's milk would naturally contain some medicinal properties. With that, these two little fellows could be considered half alive. Hee. Big Sister's concern has made her confused. Qingju said with an embarrassed smile. These two kids are really worrying. Lung Ruoxue nodded. She then turned to the Dark Tiger King and said, Tiger King, I have a way to save your wife and child, but I need your cooperation. You really can? The Dark Tiger King, who was crying in its heart, hurriedly raised its head when it heard Lung Ruoxue's words. Its pitch-black eyes stared unblinkingly at Lung Ruoxue. Previously, it had only half believed Lung Ruoxue's words, but now, with the condition of its wife and child, it had no choice but to place its hopes on her. Lung Ruoxue felt immense pressure when she saw the anticipation on the Tiger King's face. I've said it before, I can give it a try. Lung Ruoxue reminded. She had said before that they needed to check on the condition of the female tiger before deciding if they could save her. However, the Shadow Tiger King's attention was all on Myling and the two children, so they had yet to communicate properly. If you can cure my wife and child, I can let these humans go. The Dark Tiger King thought for a while before slowly speaking. It knew that this was definitely a condition that this human was going to put forward. However, if he could really cure his wife and children, it was not impossible for him to let these humans go. The humans that it mentioned included Ning Hai and the woman who had stolen its children. Good, I'll do my best. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. She didn't expect the Dark Tiger King to reveal her thoughts. However, this was good as well, because this was indeed her goal. Also, this time, the Tiger King no longer stubbornly wanted to kill Big Brother Ning. As for Myling's life or death, she didn't care at all. Following that, the Dark Tiger King brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest to its cave. The reason why it brought them along was because it was afraid that they would run away. After all, it was still hard to say if the other party could cure its wife and children. If anything were to happen to his wife and children, then all these humans would not need to live anymore, especially that damned human woman. Thinking of this, it turned its head to look at Myling, who was being dragged on the ground by its underlings, and its killing intent rose. When they arrived at the cave where the Dark Tiger King was, the Dark Tiger King left the others outside the cave and only allowed Lung Ruoxue to enter. Seeing this, Grape and the others were a little worried. Tiger King and the young master's maidservant, let me in to help. Grape-faced man said with a smile. All right then, you're the only one allowed to go in. The Dark Tiger King said after some thought. Lung Ruoxue and Grape followed the Dark Tiger King into the cave, observing the surroundings as they walked. The cave was huge, and it was clean and refreshing. After walking for more than 10 minutes, they arrived at the Dark Tiger King couple's bedroom. Although it was called a bedroom, it was actually a relatively cleaner cave. There was a huge stone bed, and on the stone bed was a huge white tiger. It was weakly groaning. Chapter 1499, Temporary Partner 2. Hearing the footsteps, the white tiger forced open its big blue eyes. When it saw its husband, its heart seemed to calm down. It looked at its sweetheart gently and closed its eyes again tiredly. Embark. The Dark Tiger King strode over to his wife's side and called out gently, "We found her, child. You can rest assured." Seeing the white female tiger's eyelids move slightly, the Dark Tiger King continued. However, it did not dare to tell its beloved wife that its child was also on the verge of death. "Miss, can that female tiger be saved?" Listening to the Dark Tiger King's mumbling, Grape asked in a soft voice with some sympathy. It was all the trouble caused by that annoying woman, causing his family to be separated. "I don't know." Lung Ruashua let out a soft sigh. If it was possible, of course, she would want to treat the mother and her 2 children. However, the tiger's condition seemed rather serious, so she was not very confident now. "You can come over now." At this moment, the Dark Tiger King, who had spent some time with his beloved wife, said to Lung Ruashua. When Lung Ruashua heard the Dark Tiger King's words, she immediately walked forward. However, just as she picked up one of the female white tiger's huge claws, the female white tiger suddenly opened her eyes and stared at her with a wary look. "Don't be afraid. I just wanted to take a look at your injuries." Lung Ruashua consoled him softly. Don't move. No one will dare to hurt you with me around." The Dark Tiger King also said, afraid that his wife would move around and tear her wound. "Yes." Hearing her husband's words, the female white tiger relaxed, but her blue eyes were still alert. Even though Lung Ruashua felt a little helpless, she did not care. After checking the female white tiger's injury seriously, she took out a healing pill and stuffed it into the female white tiger's mouth. The injuries on the female white tiger's body, one was due to excessive blood loss caused by difficult labor, and the other fatal injury was in the abdomen. If she did not guess wrong, that injury should have been caused by Brother Ning. Although there were some other injuries in other places, they were basically superficial wounds and not very serious. As for the wound on the abdomen, it healed quickly after taking the pill. However, the damage caused by a difficult birth could not be easily cured by 1 or 2 pills. After all, difficult birth consumed the essence of the mother's body. Therefore, in addition to the healing pill, the most important thing was to recuperate well. This was similar to the principle of human labor. Although the female white tiger's body was still very weak, it did not affect her from feeding her babies. However, when she saw her 2 babies who were as weak as kittens, tears immediately rolled down from her eyes. "My child, my poor child." Cried as her heart ached. She blamed herself for not taking good care of the children, causing them to be so weak. At this time, her heart was in pain as if it was being pricked by needles. "Don't cry. You and the child will be fine." Lung Ruashua quickly consoled when she saw her crying. "Please save my child." Raised her head and looked at Lung Ruashua with her big, watery blue eyes. Her face was full of pleading. The pill that this human had given her was very effective, so she firmly believed that she could cure her baby. At this moment, it could be said that she had placed all her hopes on Lung Ruashua. "If you want me to save them, you have to cooperate with me. They're still too young, and their bodies can't withstand the effects of the pill. So, you have to take care of your own body first, and then feed them until they are white and fat. Only then will I have a way to recuperate their weak bodies." Lung Ruashua smiled as she reminded him, "They'll do whatever you say." When heard Lung Ruashua's words, she quickly replied. Then, she carefully placed the 2 little babies on her chest. When the 2 little fur balls smelled the milk, they arched their little heads and instinctively sucked. This was the 2 little fellows' first time drinking mother's milk. Looking at the white tiger's gentle and motherly expression, and then at the Dark Tiger King's dumbfounded expression, Lung Ruoxue and Grape tactfully retreated out of the cave. However, even so, they had no way of leaving this place. This was because the underlings of the Dark Tiger King were keeping a close eye on them. Myling received special treatment from them. After a long while, the Dark Tiger King walked out of the cave with a face full of joy. He came to Lung Ruoxue's side and said, "My wife and children are not in danger for the time being. Thank you for saving them. I will keep my promise and will not kill you." The Dark Tiger King's words made everyone's hearts finally relax. However, the Tiger King's last letter made them depressed again. "However, I plan to stay with you until my wife and children are fully recovered." The Dark Tiger King added with a smile. Seeing everyone's expressions change again and again, it was in a very good mood. "Good. No problem." Lung Ruoxue laughed. Having such a powerful bodyguard by her side was more than she could ask for. However, the others did not think as open-minded as her. As long as everyone thought of the fact that they had a beastie by their side, and that this beastie was very strong, their hearts would be in a mess. "When are you guys leaving this forest?" the Dark Tiger King asked. "Tomorrow morning," Lung Ruoxue replied. "Then I'll go pack up and leave with you guys tomorrow morning." After the Dark Tiger King finished speaking, it turned around and returned to the cave in an extremely elegant manner. When the crowd saw the Dark Tiger King's expression, they knew that what was done could not be undone. It was impossible to change this fact, so they could only accept it reluctantly. However, they were still a little afraid. "Ruhan, I'm afraid that we won't have a good life in the future if the Dark Tiger King and his family follow us," Ninghai whispered to Lung Ruoxue. This matter was also related to him, and he had even implicated Ruoxue. This made him feel extremely apologetic. "Big Brother Ning, you're thinking too much. The Tiger King's family isn't as scary as you think. The Dark Tiger King wanted to kill us before because it wanted to avenge its wife and children. Now, they want to follow us because of their wife and children's health." Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she explained. Initially, she had thought that the Dark Tiger King would keep them here until his wife and children had fully recovered. Now that she could leave early according to her original plan, she was more than happy to do so. "Ruhan, no matter what, I'm the one who has implicated you." Ninghai's face was full of guilt. "Big Brother Ning, I don't like to hear that. How can I blame you for this? Don't take all the blame on yourself. If you didn't save others, you wouldn't have hurt that female tiger." Lung Ruoxue reminded him helplessly. Big Brother Ning was good in every way, but his sense of responsibility was a little too heavy. He always blamed himself for the responsibility that he should not have taken on. It seemed that she had to give Brother Ning more lessons when she was free and correct Brother Ning's thinking. Chapter 1500, Temporary Partner 3, AI. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Ninghai didn't know what to say. He understood what Ruoxue meant, but he couldn't come to his senses in a short time. "Big Brother Ning, let everyone rest. We should be safe and sound tonight," Lung Ruoxue suggested as she looked at everyone's exhausted figures. "Yes," Ninghai nodded. With these beasts, they didn't even need to arrange for a night watch. Seeing that everyone had entered her tent, Lung Ruoxue was about to return to her tent to rest. However, before she could leave, she was stopped by Chi Fei. "Master Lung, can you plead with the Tiger King to let my cousin go?" Chi Fei said with some difficulty, but he still had to say these words. Otherwise, when he returned to the Chi family, his mother would blame him for not helping. "Young Master Chi, I'm too embarrassed to plead with the Tiger King for your cousin after what she has done. However, if you want to go, I won't stop you. In fact, I suggest you don't go. It's a thankless effort. It's good to let your cousin suffer a little," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Without waiting for Chi Fei's response, she entered her tent. After entering the tent, Grape asked with a puzzled look, "Miss, didn't the Dark Tiger King say that he wouldn't kill them? Then why is Chi Fei still begging for mercy?" "Silly girl, he only said that. Well, just listen to him and forget about it. Do you really think he'll go and find the Dark Tiger King? Although the Tiger King promised not to kill us, he didn't say that he wouldn't torture Myling. So, Myling's physical pain is inevitable. No matter who goes to beg for mercy, the Tiger King won't give face. Otherwise, where would the dignity of the Tiger King be? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she analyzed. AI, it seems that Chi Fei was just acting. I really thought he was that affectionate. Grape said with a look of disdain. This is human nature. You've been in the Yin family for so many years. You can't still be so innocent, right? Lung Ruoxue asked in amusement. Of course not. I just didn't realize this at the moment. Grape said, a little embarrassed. Rest early. With the Dark Tiger King's family coming with us, there's going to be a lot of fun to see in the future. Lung Ruoxue said. Hee hee, miss. I'm really looking forward to it. Grape and Lotus Seed said with some excitement. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue and the other two had just walked out of the tent when they saw the Dark Tiger King couple already ready to attack. Their baby was currently lying on his parents' wide back, sleeping soundly. Can we set off now? When the Dark Tiger King saw Lung Ruoxue come out, it nodded its head in a friendly manner. Among all these people, the person it had the best impression of was this human. Yes. Lung Ruoxue looked at the conflicted crowd and nodded. Other than the Dark Tiger King's family of 4, the Tiger King's underlings had also followed Lung Ruoxue and the others. Lung Ruoxue turned around to look at the huge formation behind her, and a helpless smile appeared on her beautiful face. Wasn't the Tiger King's display of power a little too much? In the Dark Tiger King's words, his wife and children were too weak. If he brought these underlings with him, they would be able to take care of him on the way. As for Mei Ling, the Tiger King didn't kill her. However, she lost her freedom because she was always guarded by the Tiger King's most trusted underlings. She was also tied up by a rope and dragged on the ground by the Tiger King's underlings. The other people in the group all began to feel uneasy with the beastie as their companions, who asked the beastie to look at them with a hint of hostility. Furthermore, the average strength of these beastie beasts was at least class 5 sacred god beasts, which put an enormous amount of pressure on them. Although the Tiger King had said that he would not kill them, if the Tiger King changed his mind, they would lose their lives. Before they left the forest, Lung Ruoxue took a look at Beastie, who was following behind her, and suggested to the Dark Tiger King, Tiger King, it's a little inconvenient for them to travel like this. Why don't you let them transform into human form? The Dark Tiger King thought for a moment before finally nodding. All right, you all should do as young Master Lung says. It still gave Lung Ruoxue a lot of face. Yes, even though the Dark Tiger King's underlings were not too willing, they could not disobey their king's orders. In the blink of an eye, tall and burly men appeared in front of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Tiger King, how about you guys? Lung Ruoxue asked as she looked at the Tiger King's family, who had yet to transform into their human forms. Little Yan's body is too weak. It's not suitable for her to transform into a human form. I have to accompany her. The meaning of its words was very clear. It wanted to maintain its beast form. All right then, Lung Ruoxue was helpless. Bringing 2 tigers with her would not attract more attention than bringing a group of beasts, right? After that, everyone left the roaring tiger forest together. After leaving the forest, they would be in the Ning family's divine territory. However, it would take a few days to reach the Ning family's main city. However, Ning Hai could relax now that they were in the Ning family's divine territory. Ruhan, the city in front, is the territory of the Ning clan's divine realm. After flying for a while, Ning Hai pointed at the city on the ground and said, "They're here already?" Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. At the same time, Hui Ao had also landed. "Yes, let's enter the city," Ning Hai said with a faint smile. He had been out for so many years, and now that he had returned to the Ning family's divine realm, he was extremely excited. He wondered how his parents and brother were. All right. Seeing Ning Hai's anxious look, Lung Ruoxue quickly nodded. This should be called rushing home. He brought Lung Ruoxue, the others, and the Tiger King's family of 4 to the city gates. Ning Hai showed the Ning family's identity token and entered the city smoothly. This city was called Ning Yuan City. It was a relatively remote city in the Ning clan's divine realm. At the same time, It was also the only path into the Ning clan's divine realm. This was because the Ning clan's divine realm was surrounded by mountains on both sides and the sea on one side. Moreover, the terrain was very steep. Only Ningyuan City could lead to other places in the divine world. At the same time, one could only reach the main city of the Ning clan's divine realm by passing through Ningyuan City. After Ning Hai brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest into the city, the first thing they did was to go to an inn to rest and recuperate. They would continue to set off the next morning. The inn that he was looking for was naturally the one that belonged to the Ning family. Although this was the Ning family's territory, the Ning family did not monopolize all of the Ning family's businesses in the divine realm. This was because they also welcomed people from other families to open their shops and make money. However, the shops that were the most stingy here were definitely monopolized by the Ning family. In the room of the inn, Grape stared at Lung Ruoxue with a face full of question marks and did not speak for a long time. "Grape, what's wrong with you now?" Lung Ruoxue felt Grape's gaze and asked in confusion, "Miss, what are we doing in the Ning clan's divine realm?" Grape was a little puzzled. Chapter 1501, The Back Mountain 1. I'm here to find someone, Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. She didn't seem to have mentioned this to these two girls yet. "Miss, do you know anyone in the Ning family's divine realm?" Grape said with a face full of surprise. "Woo, young miss really has a lot of secrets. My godfather lives in the Ning family's divine realm." Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly and did not reveal the identity of her godfather. "Oh," Grape nodded. "So Miss was here to find her family. Miss, when can we find your godfather?" Grape could not help but ask. "We should be able to find him once we reach the Ning family's main city," Lung Ruoxue said calmly. "Miss, I don't know if I should say this." Grape hesitated. Her beautiful face blushed even more. "If you have something to say, just say it." Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at him. "Miss, it's not easy to enter the Ning family's main city. It's the most important center of the Ning family. If you want to get in, I'm afraid it won't be easy." Grape sighed and told the truth. "Don't worry, we will definitely be able to get in. Big Brother Ning will lead us." Lung Ruoxue gave Grape a consoling look. "Yes." Although Grape nodded, she was not as optimistic as Lung Ruoxue. They were both from 8 great divine regions, but the Ning family's main city was obviously much harder to enter than the Yin family's main city. "Grape, we've already arrived at the Ning family's divine realm, and I won't leave easily until I find my godfather. So, don't be so pessimistic anymore. Since you're here, you should take it as it is." Lung Ruoxue consoled Grape with a smile when she saw how uneasy he was. "Miss, I just wanted you to be mentally prepared," Grape said, a little embarrassed. Unprepared," Lung Ruoxue said helplessly as she looked at the little housekeeper who loved to worry. After staying the night at the inn, Lung Ruoxue and the rest continued on their journey the next morning. 5 days later, they had finally arrived at the Ning family's main city. Ning Hai, Lung Ruoxue, and the others showed their identity tokens and were about to enter the city. However, they were stopped by the city guards. "Wait!" the guard shouted. "What's wrong?" Ning Hai looked at the guard who stopped them with a face full of question marks. "You can go in, but they can't." The guard said. "Why? They're my brothers." Ning Hai asked in confusion. "It'll be the acting family head's birthday in a few days, so the checks on those who enter the city are much stricter. Apart from a Ning family and those sent by other families to congratulate him, other people who don't like him are not allowed to enter the city," the guard said in a serious manner. The birthday of the acting patriarch? Ning Hai understood, but the substitute master's birthday hadn't been so strict before. Don't make things difficult for me." The guard looked at Ning Hai and said. The Ning family's tokens were also divided into 3 levels. The ordinary clansman's tokens were divided into 3 levels, namely primary, intermediate, and advanced. The token in Ning Hai's hand was an intermediate level token, which also meant that Ning Hai still had a certain status in the Ning family. Therefore, the guard's attitude towards him was quite good. "Big brother guard, can you make an exception?" I can guarantee that they're not bad people and won't cause trouble at the substitute family head's birthday. Ninghai pleaded. At the same time, he secretly stuffed a piece of high-grade crystal into the guard's hand. Seeing this, the guard's face revealed a trace of a smile and said with some difficulty, "Although this is somewhat against the rules, since they are the people you brought here, you have to look after them well. Otherwise, I will not be able to explain it to you. Don't worry, big brother. We'll keep a close eye on them." Ninghai quickly promised. "Since that's the case, you can bring them into the city." The guard let them through. Ninghai gave Lung Ruoxue and the others a look, indicating that they should quickly follow him into the city, in case a long night would bring trouble. After entering the city, before Lung Ruoxue and the rest had the chance to take a good look at the city scenery, they were brought to a private residence by Ninghai. From the outside, the house didn't look very big, and the appearance was quite simple. Through the door, one could see that the courtyard was very clean, and there were all kinds of flowers planted in the small courtyard, which looked very warm. Father, mother, little brother, embark. After pushing open the door and entering, Ninghai shouted at the top of his lungs. At the same time, a 16 or 17-year-old boy ran out of the courtyard and also shouted and threw himself into Ninghai's arms. "Big brother, you're finally willing to come back." The young man grumbled with a bitter expression. "Hee, Shauna, I haven't seen you for a few years, and you've grown up." Ninghai looked at his precious little brother and said happily, "Big brother, who are they?" After being intimate with Ninghai for a while, Ningxuan realized that there were a lot of people behind Ninghai, and he was suddenly embarrassed. "They're my good brothers," Ninghai said proudly. Then, he turned to Lung Ruoxue and said, "Ruhan, this kid is my younger brother, Ningxuan." "Hello, Shauna," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. However, she could not help but think to herself, "Are big brother Ning and Ningxuan really brothers?" The two brothers didn't look alike at all. Furthermore, the older brother was so tall and strong, while the younger brother still looked like a young man. "Hello." Ningxuan took a look at Lung Ruoxue's alluring beauty and lowered his head in embarrassment. He thought to himself, "This brother is too beautiful, even more beautiful than any woman I've ever seen. Shauna, arrange a place for them to stay. I still have something to do, so I'll be back later." Ninghai ordered, then turned to Qi Fei. "Young Master Qi, shall I bring you to the main residence?" "No need. I know the way. Young Master Ning has just returned home. It's better to catch up with your family," Qi Fei quickly said. In fact, the reason why he followed Ninghai here was mainly to take his cousin away. He just didn't know if the Dark Tiger King would be willing to let her go. However, as soon as his eyes landed on Myling, he received a sharp glare from the Tiger King. He was so scared that he didn't even dare to ask. After calming down a little, Qi Fei gathered his courage and said, "Tiger King, can you return my cousin to me?" When the Dark Tiger King heard Qi Fei's words, it only blinked and didn't respond. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, she smiled and pleaded, "Tiger King, you've tortured Miss Myling a lot along the way. Why don't you return her to your cousin? If I return it just because you say so, how embarrassing would that be for me?" The Dark Tiger King raised his eyelids and said in a slightly displeased tone, "Then what do you want?" Lung Ruoxue asked. "She has harmed my wife and children to this extent. Although I promised not to kill her, if I let her go just like this, how can I answer to my wife and children?" The Dark Tiger King asked with a frown. Then, its tone changed as it continued. "It's not impossible for me to let her go, but you have to compensate for my wife and children's mental damage and medical expenses. Their injuries can't be in vain." Chapter 1502. The Back Mountain 2. After hearing the Dark Tiger King's words, Lung Ruoxue was already laughing in her heart. This Tiger King was quite similar to her. It actually knew to charge for mental damage and medical expenses, but how much was it going to charge? As she thought of this, she looked at Qi Fei, then looked at the Dark Tiger King, and said, "Young Master Qi, what do you think?" Qi Fei was speechless. Along the way, the Tiger King had beaten and scolded his cousin. He had tortured his cousin to the point that she didn't even look like a human anymore. Now, He even wanted to ask for a ransom from him. What the hell was this? However, could he not care about his cousin's life? The answer was no. I wonder how much Tiger King wants. Chi-Fei had no choice but to ask carefully. My wife and children are priceless. Give them to me as you see fit. The Dark Tiger King said, as if it did not care. Give it as you see fit? Why did he give it to her as he saw fit? He told him to give it to him as he saw fit. And he even said that his wife and children were priceless? Wasn't this clearly planning to demand an exorbitant price? Whoa, how did Beastie learn to be so cunning now? Chi-Fei couldn't help but curse in his heart. Tiger King, I don't have much money on me. Chi-Fei said, a little embarrassed. It's okay, you can write me an IOU. The Dark Tiger King said calmly. Chi-Fei wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. Fuck, he didn't hear wrong, did he? This tiger actually wanted him to write an IOU? Even if he wanted to write an IOU, it wasn't his turn to do it, right? It's not like my cousin doesn't have any relatives. Thinking of this, Chi-Fei helplessly opened his mouth again. Tiger King, can you give me a few more days? I will send a letter to my uncle and ask him to send a ransom to my cousin. Yes, I just want to see the money. I don't care who gave it to me. The Dark Tiger King said in an understanding manner. Then I'll take my leave first. Young Master Ning, we'll talk again when we have the chance. After Chi-Fei finished speaking, he left as if he was running for his life. How could he still dare to bring up the matter of leaving with his cousin to the Tiger King? He didn't want to write an IOU for a tiger. He would be laughed at. After Chi-Fei left, the Dark Tiger King found a room for himself and used it as a temporary residence for his family of 4. As for his little brothers, they would take care of themselves, so there was no need for him to worry. Looking at the black tiger who did not treat him as a guest at all, Ning Shan blinked and asked in a small voice in disbelief, Brother, is that tiger a new beastie you took in? No, Shaner, that tiger has the strength of a God King. You must treat it well. Ning Hai warned. Now that Tiger was the master of the Ning family, they couldn't mess with it. Yes, these 2 big tigers are really beautiful. Ning Shan's eyes were fixed on the 2 tigers, one black and one white, and he said very happily, They're also very fierce, don't anger them. Ning Hai couldn't help but warn the Dark Tiger King. His words naturally couldn't be hidden from the Tiger King's sensitive ears. However, the Tiger King didn't care about them. Instead, it directly walked back to its room with elegant steps. After that, Ning Hai personally arranged rooms for Lung Ruoxue and the rest. Then, he returned to his own room to rest. Lung Ruoxue had originally planned to take a nap as well. However, before she could sleep, she was disturbed by a certain beast who had come uninvited. Looking at the black tiger lying on the chair in her room, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly, Tiger King, you're not tired? Aren't you going to rest? I'm not tired. I want to ask you, why did you plead for that woman? I thought you were like me, wishing she was dead. The Dark Tiger King asked curiously, how can that be? Although she's very annoying, she hasn't provoked me yet. However, I know that you've always wanted to kill her, so I'm pleading for her. Lung Ruoxue explained indifferently. You did it for me. The Dark Tiger King's eyes widened in disbelief. It could be considered so. Actually, I think you've tortured her enough, so you can let her go. Besides, with her personality, even if you let her go, she won't be grateful. Instead, she'll deliberately try to take revenge on you. Then, you can kill her with a legitimate reason, right? Lung Ruoxue smiled as she reminded. You're right. The Shadow Tiger King nodded its large head. Even though it had tormented that woman quite a bit along the way, it still felt a little regretful that it had promised Lung Ruoxue not to kill them. Now that Lung Ruoxue's words had reminded it, it seemed like it had made the right decision to give Lung Ruoxue a face and let them go. When it thought of this, the Tiger King could not help but feel proud of its own wisdom. Can you let me rest now? Lung Ruoxue asked. Yes. However, you have to do me a favor. The Dark Tiger King said, a little embarrassed. What do you want me to help you with? Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. Help me think about how much I should ask them for. The Dark Tiger King said, a little embarrassed. Didn't you say that your wife and children are priceless? However, The Qi family will definitely not pay for her. Lung Ruoxue understood. If Qi Fei was willing to interfere in this matter, he would not have fled. Fuck, then wouldn't I be unable to receive my money? That woman is really useless. The Dark Tiger King's face was filled with disdain. Ha ha ha. Don't worry. Even if you can't get the money, she's still in your hands. Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she reminded him. What's the use of her people? I can't carry on my shoulders or lift it with my hands. You're even wasting food. How about I give her to you? The Dark Tiger King laughed evilly. It could tell that the woman had been coveting this fellow for a long time. Don't give it to me. I also think that she's wasting food. When Lung Ruoxue heard the Dark Tiger King's words, she was so frightened that she hurriedly replied, Hee. If no one comes to redeem her, I'll give her to you. After the Dark Tiger King finished speaking, he left behind a black-faced Lung Ruoxue and disappeared with a whoosh. Before she fell asleep, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but wonder if the Tiger King would really give that woman to her. She didn't want that. After staying at Big Brother Ning's house for a few days, Lung Ruoxue and the rest had become very familiar with Ning Hai's family. At the same time, it was the birthday of the acting master of the Ning family. In the courtyard, Lung Ruoxue sat on the stone chair and chatted with Grape, Lotus Seed, and the others. These few days, she had not had the chance to leave this place, mainly because the city was more strict now. Who asked the substitute clan head to celebrate his birthday? She did not want to cause trouble for Big Brother Ning, so she could only stay at home obediently. Anyway, she had already arrived at the Ning clan's divine territory, and she would see her godfather sooner or later. Ruoxue, after the substitute master's birthday is over, he'll think of a way to bring you into the main residence. At this time, Ning Hai walked in from outside and said, now that there were no outsiders in the house, they called her Ruoxue again. Chapter 1503, The Back Mountain 3, Big Brother Ning. Don't worry, I'm not in a hurry. Lung Ruoxue laughed. Since you're here, of course you have to see the person you want to see as soon as possible. All right, Ruoxue, what's your godfather's name? Ning Hai asked. Name? Big Brother Ning. I don't know his name. Lung Ruoxue was taken aback as she replied in embarrassment. It's not easy to find them without knowing their names. Ning Hai frowned and said awkwardly, there were many direct descendants of the Ning family. If they were to look for them one by one, it would probably take next year. Moreover, some of the direct descendants were not in the main city. Big Brother Ning, you definitely know who my godfather is. Lung Ruoxue kept him in suspense. I definitely know. Ning Hai was in a dilemma. Ruoxue was so confident that he knew her godfather. Could it be that her godfather was an important figure in the Ning family? Could it be an elder of the Ning family? Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Ruoxue, which elder is your godfather? Ning Hai asked curiously. He's not an elder of the Ning family. Lung Ruoxue hesitated. If she were to reveal her godfather's identity, would she scare Big Brother Ning? Then who is he? If you don't know his name, it's fine to tell me his identity. At least this way, we can narrow down the scope and find him easier. Ning Hai reminded, if I say that my godfather is your Ning family's old ancestor, would you believe me? Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. The moment she said this, not only Ning Hai was stunned, but even Lotus Grape and Lotus Seed were stunned. Ruoxue, this is not a joke. Ning Hai looked around cautiously. After making sure that there were no outsiders, he was relieved and said, what kind of status does the Ning family's ancestor have? How can he just casually associate with her? Big Brother Ning, I'm not joking, I'm telling the truth. Lung Ruoxue said with a serious expression. Ruoxue, you're not joking, are you? Ning Hai said with doubt. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Ruoxue, you said that you're the goddaughter of our ancestor, but do you have any proof? Ning Hai asked again. Proof? Lung Ruoxue pondered for a while before saying, I recognize the guard beside him. Ruoxue, with my status, I won't be able to see the old ancestors' guards. Ning Hai couldn't help but complain. Wasn't Ruoxue making things difficult for him? He was just a small shrimp in the Ning family. How could he be qualified to see the old ancestor? He also could not see the guards by the old ancestor's side. Big Brother Ning, then tell me where the ancestor is, and I'll go find him myself. Lung Roashua said after some thought. With Xiao buddying around, even without Big Brother Ning leading the way, she believed that she would still be able to see Godfather. Roashua, are you sure? Ninghai was helpless. To be honest, he was worried about Roashua going alone. However, he didn't have the right to enter the place where the old ancestor lived, so he was afraid that he couldn't help Roashua. And Lung Roashua smiled and nodded. All right then. However, don't let anyone find out about this, or else. Before Ning Hai could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Lung Roashua. Brother Ning, don't worry. Even if I'm discovered, I won't betray you. Lung Roashua promised. Roashua, that's not what I meant. I'm just afraid that you'll be in danger. Ning Hai said. Actually, he still didn't quite believe Roashua's words. After all, the old ancestor had taken in a mid-level deity as his goddaughter. This matter was too mysterious. Big Brother Ning, trust me, nothing will happen. Lung Roashua promised once again. After that, Ning Hai prepared a map of the main residence for Lung Roashua. Actually, he had to take a risk by giving this map to Lung Roashua. However, out of trust for Lung Roashua, he still gave her the map. Furthermore, he had to hide this matter from his family, so as not to let them be worried. After getting the map, Lung Roashua and Ning Hai confirmed Godfather's location. They then gave some instructions to Grape and Lotus Seed and planned to head to the Ning family's main residence. Miss, are you really not going to take us there? Before they left, Grape said reluctantly, Whoa, how can Miss leave us? The young miss was really too evil. You two wait for me here. When I find Godfather, I will ask him to send someone to pick you up. Lung Roashua consoled. She had originally wanted to bring Grape and Lotus Seed along, but she was afraid that Godfather would not be home. So, she had no choice but to let them wait for her here. Miss, Grape and Lotus Seed's reluctance to part made Lung Roashua's forehead fill with black lines. It wasn't as if she wasn't coming back, so why did they have to look like this? She hardened her heart and transmitted her voice to shout Buddy in her arms. Little guy, take me to my Godfather. Do you remember the location? Don't go to the wrong place. Sister, don't worry. Leave everything to me. With a flash of white light, when Lung Roashua opened her eyes again, the scenery in front of her had changed. This is the back mountain. Lung Roashua could not help but ask as she looked at the fog in front of her. Yes, sister, this is the right place. You have to believe me. The little guy promised. After hearing Xiao Buddian's words, Lung Roashua opened the map that Ning Hai gave her and pointed at the red dot on the map. Little guy, I wanted you to bring me here. Where's this place? Sister, I brought you here with this red dot. The little guy said in an extremely aggrieved manner. Woo, how could Big Sister not believe him? It wasn't a directional idiot, so it wouldn't get lost. Are you sure? Lung Roashua's beautiful eyes looked at Xiao Buddy in disbelief. Yes, this is really the place that Big Sister wants to go. The little guy nodded his head vigorously. But why is there so much fog here? Lung Roashua didn't understand. However, before she could figure it out, she and Xiao Buddian were surrounded by a group of men in black. Who is so bold to break into the forbidden area of the back mountain of the Ning family? A tall, black-robed man rebuked loudly, his voice carrying a hint of pressure. According to Lung Roashua's observation, this black-robed man was at least a divine emperor. Furthermore, from the Silver Clan emblem on his clothes, he should be the captain of these guards. The Ning family's clothes were embroidered with a clan emblem, and the color of the clan emblem was also a sign of their status in the Ning family. Except for the family master, the highest level of clan emblem was gold, followed by silver. The Silver Clan emblem on the guard captain's body indicated that his status in the Ning family was very high. However, no matter what status he had, Lung Roashua was not afraid. She hugged Xiao Buddian tightly and said with a faint smile, I want to see your family head. You want to see the patriarch? Do you think the patriarch is someone you can meet whenever you want? The captain of the guards raised his eyebrows and looked at Lung Roashua arrogantly. Your clan head is my godfather. As long as you help to inform him, he will definitely meet me. Tell him that Lung Ruoxue is here. Lung Ruoxue said confidently. Chapter 1504, Mediation 1. I'm sorry, the master is not here right now. The captain of the guard said without even thinking. Not here? Where'd he go? Lung Ruoxue asked gloomily. He went to see an old friend. I don't know when he'll be back. When the captain of the guards heard Lung Ruoxue's words, although he was still skeptical, he had heard that the old ancestor had indeed taken in a goddaughter. Moreover, it seemed that the old ancestor doted on that goddaughter very much. Hence, even though he had yet to confirm Lung Ruoxue's identity, his attitude was much better. Then, is Ningxian here? Lung Ruoxue asked again. You know Ningxian? He's not here either. The captain of the guards quickly said. Since he knew Ningxian, then Lung Ruoxue's identity should be close to the mark. After all, Ningxian was one of the old Grand Madam's most trusted people. Even though he was the captain of the guards in the old Grand Madam's forbidden area, he was not as favored as Ningxian in front of the old Grand Madam. Where's Ningyan? Lung Ruoxue continued to ask. Ningyan's here, the guard captain said. After hearing the two names, the leader of the men in black didn't dare to delay and quickly sent someone to invite Ningyan. Ningyan was also a favorite of the old ancestor. Although his position in the forbidden area was only a housekeeper, his status in the Ning clan was almost the same as an elder, and sometimes even more honorable than an elder. Not long after, Ningyan arrived in front of Lung Ruoxue, surrounded by guards. When he saw Lung Ruoxue, he was shocked. Young Miss Lungyu, why have you come to the divine realm? Head butler, is this really the goddaughter that my ancestor acknowledged? The captain of the guards asked in a low voice, and Ningyan nodded his head slightly. The master often thought of this young lady. If he knew that she had come to the divine realm, he would definitely be very happy. It's been a long time, Ningyan. When Lung Ruoxue saw Ningyan, she smiled and said, It's good that I finally met someone I know. Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and invite Miss Lung in. All right, send someone to inform the family head that Miss Lung is here. Ningyan quickly ordered the captain of the guards. Yes, please come in, Miss Lung. After the captain of the guards confirmed Lung Ruoxue's identity, his attitude immediately took a 180-degree turn as he spoke with a smile. After Lung Ruoxue followed Ningyan into the forbidden area, she realized that there was a formation hidden under the mist. No wonder she couldn't see the house before. However, with Ningyan and the others leading the way, Lung Ruoxue entered the forbidden area without any trouble. The forbidden area in the back mountain where the Ning family's master lived was huge. The spiritual qi there was much denser than in the main city. There were hundreds of courtyards in the forbidden area. According to Ningyan, other than the old ancestor's daily residence, this was also the place where the elite disciples and elders of the family cultivated in seclusion. Therefore, the security was extremely strict. If Lung Ruoxue was not the old ancestor's goddaughter and had not been treated specially by the old ancestor, he would never have dared to bring her here. However, before they reached the courtyard where the head of the family lived, they met a group of people. When Ningyan saw them, he sighed in his heart. How'd I meet this guy? This guy was an old-fashioned man. Hopefully, he wouldn't find trouble with Miss Lung. After all, Miss Lung was not someone to be trifled with. Ningyan, who is she? A middle-aged man in the group stopped Ningyan and asked. Lung Ruoxue was not dressed as a woman, so even though he was stunned by her devastatingly beautiful appearance, he still had to treat her with caution. Second elder, she is the adopted daughter of the master, Ningyan said very respectfully. Although the second elder was a little old-fashioned, his character was not bad. In addition, he was respected by the clan members, so he was also a little arrogant. Goddaughter? Even if she's the master's biological daughter, the forbidden area isn't a place she can enter as she wishes. Ningyan, take her away from here. The second elder shouted angrily. Second elder, she's here to see the patriarch. Ningyan helplessly reminded him. The second elder even dared to chase away the family head's most valued goddaughter. He really had guts. Furthermore, Even though Lung Ruoxue was only an adopted daughter, her position in the master's heart was something that even his own daughter could not compare to. Unfortunately, this old-fashioned man actually turned a blind eye to it. The master isn't here right now, so why did you bring her to the forbidden area? Have you forgotten the rules of the forbidden area? Even the Ning family can't come here casually. The second elder reproached. Then, according to second elder's meaning, where should I place young Lady Lung? Ning Yin sighed and asked for the second elder's opinion. Since she's master's goddaughter, you can arrange for her to stay in the main house. However, there are too many guests in the main house these 2 days, so I'm afraid it can't accommodate so many people. You can arrange for this young lady to stay in courtyard. It's very quiet there and won't disturb this young lad's rest. The second elder pondered for a moment before deciding on Lung Ruoxue's residence, a side courtyard. The courtyard that second elder mentioned was located on the outskirts of Lord Ning's main city. It was indeed very quiet there, as second elder had said, because there was almost no one there all year round. To put it bluntly, no one had lived there for a long time. When Ning Yin heard that the second elder wanted Lung Ruoxue to stay in a separate courtyard, he was a little unhappy. However, he did not show it. He only reminded her, the courtyard is located in the suburbs. Isn't it inappropriate for a girl like Miss Lung to live there? AI. If the family head came back and found out that he let his precious goddaughter stay in a side courtyard, he would swallow him alive. Sob. Second elder, even if you want to die, don't harm me. You could just send a few guards to protect her. The second elder said disapprovingly. In his opinion, the strength of the family head's adopted daughter was too low. He really didn't know how she had managed to hug the family head's thigh. Ning Yin was in a dilemma. The master and the great elder were not here, and the second elder was the most senior in the Ning family. Even the acting master had to listen to his orders. How could he, a mere butler of the Forbidden Land, refuse the second elder's suggestion? He hesitated. Just as he was hesitating, Lung Ruoxue smiled and said, "Thank you for your kind offer, second elder. You know that I like peace and quiet. Ning Yin, please take me to the courtyard that the second elder has mentioned." Young Miss Lung, no one has stayed in the courtyard for a long time. Ning Yin reminded her in a low voice. It's fine, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. She really didn't want to get involved in the Ning family's matters. Staying in the side courtyard could help her avoid a lot of trouble. AI. All right then. Ning Yin was helpless. He knew from a master that this young lady was a woman of her word. After that, Ning Yin led Lung Ruoxue to the Ning family's courtyard on the outskirts of the city. Lung Ruoxue nodded in satisfaction as she looked at the tall courtyard walls and the vermilion red door. From the outside, this place looked pretty good. However, when she entered and saw the fallen leaves and cobwebs all over the courtyard, she could no longer remain calm. Chapter 1505, Mediation 2. How long did it take for someone to clean up the place like this? AI. No wonder the Ning family didn't care about the environment here. The main residence was big enough, and they didn't need to live here at all. Miss Lung, why don't I bring you to a hotel? Ning Yin suggested, a little embarrassed. If the master knew that his precious goddaughter had been treated like this in the Ning family, would he fly into a rage? It's all right, Ning Yin. Please send someone to clean up this place for me. I still have 2 maidservants living in someone else's house. I'll go pick them up. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. After she finished speaking, she turned around and left the Ning family courtyard. Ning Yin was worried that Lung Ruoxue would go alone, so he immediately sent 2 guards to follow her. Lung Ruoxue walked all the way back to Ning Hai's house. Ning Hai and the others, who were worried about Lung Ruoxue's safety, were relieved to see her return safely. Ruoxue, are you all right? Ning Hai came forward and asked nervously. It would be fine if they didn't find out that they were going to the forbidden area, but if they did, and they couldn't show any evidence of her being the goddaughter of the old ancestor, Ruoxue would be in danger. I'm fine. Big brother Ning, don't worry. After the second elder of the Ning family knew that I was the goddaughter of your family's ancestor, he arranged for me to live in a side courtyard. I came back to pick up the grapes and lotus seeds. Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. A courtyard? No one has lived there for many years. Why would the second elder let you live there? Ning Hai frowned. It was better to continue living in his house than in that courtyard. Besides, his family also liked Ruoxue. There are many guests in the main residence, so I was arranged to stay in the side courtyard. It's not bad there. The environment is quiet and no one will disturb us. I'm very satisfied. Lung Ruoxue explained simply. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, several black lines slid down Ning Hai's forehead. Quiet environment? In his opinion, that place should have been in disrepair for a long time. Great, Lotus Seed, let's go. After Lung Ruoxue bade farewell to Ning Hai's family, she said to the two maidservants. Yes. Grape and Lotus Seed quickly responded. Little girl, you still have us. All of a sudden, the Dark Tiger King reminded her. It was as if it was afraid that Lung Ruoxue would leave its family behind. After all, its wife and child's illness still had to be treated by this little girl. So, wherever this little girl went, they had to follow. I won't leave you behind. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Then, she brought the Dark Tiger King's family of 4 and their little brother out of Ning Hai's house under the reluctant gazes of Ning Hai and the rest. When Ning Yin saw the group of people that Lung Ruoxue had brought back, he couldn't help but smile. Didn't Miss Lung say that there were only 2 maids? Why did he bring back so many people? That's right, there were also beasts. Miss Lung, who are they? Ning Yan's face was full of curiosity. They are my beastie and my subordinates. Lung Ruoxue laughed. Before they came, they had already discussed that these beasts who had taken on human forms would temporarily act as her subordinates. Oh, Miss Lung, the room is almost ready. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, it'll send people to do it. Time is tight, so we can only do this for now. Ning Yan said guiltily. Master, I'll let you down. He couldn't help but wail in his heart for not taking good care of Miss Lung. I'm very satisfied. Thank you. Lung Ruoxue looked at the refurbished courtyard and room. She was very satisfied with the efficiency of Ning Yin and the others. Miss Lung, I'll take my leave first. I'll send someone to deliver some daily necessities to you later. Ning Yin turned around and left the courtyard. After Ning Yin left, Grape and Lotus Seed circled around the courtyard. After a brief look, Grape pouted and said with a little displeasure, Miss, you are the goddaughter of the Ning family's old ancestor, and they let you live here. They've really gone too far. She felt indignant for her young miss. What's wrong with this place? People with no business will not come. Lung Ruoxue said in satisfaction. She had never liked crowded places, and this was exactly what she wanted. Hee, that's true. Grape nodded with a smile. After following Miss for a while, she was familiar with Miss' preferences and naturally knew what she liked. The Dark Tiger King's family wasn't picky about their accommodation. They found a room that was pleasing to the eye and settled down. The 2 tiger cubs had grown up to about half a fist size after a period of meticulous care by the female white tiger. Furthermore, the 2 little fellows had both opened their eyes. However, their favorite thing to do was to circle around Lung Ruoxue's feet like 2 little kittens. However, because the 2 little fellows were too young, Lung Ruoxue and the other 2 had to be especially careful when they walked to avoid accidentally stepping on the tiger cubs. If that happened, the Dark Tiger King would definitely fight them to the death. Even so, when the Dark Tiger King saw how much his children liked Lung Ruoxue, it was extremely jealous. On the day that Lung Ruoxue stayed in the courtyard, Ning Yin sent people to deliver all the daily necessities. The next day, Ning Hai, who was still worried, brought Ning Shan and his subordinates to visit Lung Ruoxue and the others. Ruoxue, no one has lived here for a long time. Even if it's cleaned up, it won't be as comfortable as my house. Why don't you move back to my house? Ning Hai looked around and said with dissatisfaction, Yep. Big sister Ruoxue, you should move back to our house. Father and mother also missed you. Ning Shan echoed. He really liked this pretty sister. Seeing them live here made his heart ache. Unfortunately, his status in the Ning family was not high, so he naturally didn't have much say. Big brother Ning, Shan this place is not bad. I'm quite satisfied with it. Besides, your house isn't that big. We can't always trouble Uncle and Andy. Lung Ruoxue rejected. Ruoxue, you're just like my sister, and my parents also treat you like their daughter. There's no trouble at all. Ning Hai's face became serious, and he said with slight displeasure, "Ha ha ha, big brother Ning. Godfather will be back in a few days. We won't be staying here for long, so it's better not to move around." Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh when she saw Ning Hai's expression. "All right then. However, he'll come and keep you company often." Ning Hai thought for a while and said, there were very few people here, and he was really afraid that Lung Ruoxue and the others would get into trouble. Although Ning Yin had arranged guards for Ruoxue, he was still a little worried. "We welcome you." Lung Ruoxue smiled helplessly. Over the next few days, Lung Ruoxue planned to treat the two little tigers. These days, the two little tigers' bodies were getting stronger and stronger. Other than the meticulous care of the female white tiger, Lung Ruoxue's timely special treatment for the two little fellows had also played a big role. Chapter 1506, Mediation 3. Lung Ruoxue picked up the two furry little things with one hand each and observed them for a while. She then placed them on her lap and took out 2 pills to feed them. After they had consumed the pills, she stared at them intently, afraid that they would feel any discomfort. After about 15 minutes, the two little tigers had absorbed the medicinal effects of the pills and began to act coquettishly with Lung Ruoxue. Seeing her baby's lively and cute appearance, the female white tiger Yin Air's heart that had been hanging in the air finally settled down. Then, Lung Ruoxue passed a bottle of pills to Yin and told it to take 1 pill a day. Once Yin finished this bottle of pills, she would be fully recovered. She didn't give it to him before because the medicine was too strong and Yin had to feed the 2 babies, so it wasn't suitable for her to take it. However, now that the 2 little tigers had almost recovered, there was no need to worry about it anymore. Seeing that his wife and son's health had improved, the Dark Tiger King was extremely happy. However, when it saw that its child was always around Lung Ruoxue and was even closer to her than it was to her, it felt a sense of injustice in its heart. "Tiger King, I've already fulfilled my promise." Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at the Dark Tiger King, who was still immersed in the sea of vinegar, and reminded it with a faint smile. "Well, you've done well." The Dark Tiger King praised him as if he was praising his subordinate. When Lung Ruoxue heard the Dark Tiger King's words, black lines appeared on her forehead. She thought to herself, does this Dark Tiger King treat me as a subordinate? Otherwise, why would he be so formal with her? Hee hee, little girl, he'll give you that woman as a reward. It had already been a few days, and no one from the chief family had come to deliver the ransom. Hence, it guessed that the chief family had most likely decided to give up on that woman. It had also promised Lung Ruoxue not to kill them, and this naturally included that woman. Thus, it had been in a dilemma for the past 2 days. To it, Myling was already as annoying as a hot potato. "I don't want her. Why don't you reward her to your subordinates? They will need it more." Lung Ruoxue suggested. "We don't want that ugly human woman." Upon hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the beastmen in their human forms replied in unison. They had never been so united before. "Ha ha ha!" Upon hearing their words, Grape could not help but burst out laughing. Just then, Ningyan walked into the courtyard and saw them laughing. He couldn't help but ask curiously, "What are you laughing at? You're so happy?" "It's nothing. I suggested that the Tiger King reward his captives to his subordinates. However, no one was willing to accept them." Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. "Oh, Miss Lung, is that young lady from the chief family?" Ningyan suddenly asked. He had seen the captive that Lung Ruoxue was talking about before. Manager Ning Yin knows her identity? Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and asked calmly. "I've only heard about it. In the past 2 days, a member of the chief family has been asking for help from the acting family head. Moreover, the acting family head has also sent someone to investigate." Ning Yin frowned. In fact, he didn't agree with the idea of acting as the head of the family, especially when Miss Lung was involved. It was even more inappropriate for the Ning family to go on. Is it Chi Fei? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. I don't think so, Ning Yin said after some thought. That's right, Miss Lung. The clan head will be back in 2 days. He was very happy when he heard the news that you had come to the divinity, and even complained that you didn't inform him in advance. So, you'd better be mentally prepared, because the clan head might be angry. Ning Yin reminded her with a smile. Head Butler Ning, I didn't have a choice. Lung Ruoxue laughed bitterly. She really did not want to come to the God world. However, instead of Master Ning, another troublesome matter came to Lung Ruoxue. On the night that Ning Yin had informed her, she had been taken to the Ning family's main residence by the Ning family's guards. After Lung Ruoxue was taken away by the guards, Grape and Lotus Seed started to panic. The two of them were at a loss as to what to do, and they spun around in circles on the ground, unable to think of a good way to save their young miss. Quickly go find that Butler Ning. Why are you still standing there? At this moment, the Dark Tiger King's eyelids twitched as he indifferently reminded. That's right. They were really confused by their concern. How could she forget that old man? He was Master Ning's butler. He had great power. However, the two of them weren't from the Ning family, so they probably wouldn't be able to see that old man. Ning Hai. That's right. They went to ask Ning Hai for help. Ning Hai was a member of the Ning family, so it should be much easier for him to enter the main house than them. The two of them thought about it quickly, and they both thought of Ning Hai. As they thought about it, the two of them rushed straight to Ning Hai's house. After listening to what Grape and Lotus Seed said, Ning Hai frowned and thought about it, but he didn't know what excuse to use to go to the main house. Because, as a branch of the Ning family, without being summoned by the main family, or without working in the main house, he was not allowed to enter the main house at will. So, it was difficult for him to enter the main house, and he needed a good excuse. Brother, didn't Miss Wu in the main residence say that she wanted to eat Mother's cooking yesterday? Why don't you let Mother bring you in? Ning Shan suddenly said. Look at my memory. How could I have forgotten about this? I'll go find Mother now. After Ning Hai finished speaking, he went straight to his parents' room. Although his mother was only the daughter-in-law of the Ning family, because she was good at cooking, she was often summoned by the main family and asked to cook for them. Therefore, his mother had a good relationship with some of the main family's direct relatives. If his mother were to plead for Ruoxue, she would probably be fine. At the same time, in the main hall of the main residence, the acting family head of the Ning family sat on the main seat with an arrogant expression. There were dozens of elders sitting on both sides of him. After Lung Ruoxue was brought in, she stood in the middle of the hall, allowing everyone to size her up. The acting master of the Ning family and all the elders were sizing Lung Ruoxue up. No one asked her to sit down, so Lung Ruoxue could only rely on herself. How audacious! Who allowed you to sit down? An elder shouted when he saw that Lung Ruoxue had actually ignored their presence and sat down on a chair. May I ask if I'm a guest of the Ning family or a criminal? Lung Ruoxue asked calmly with a faint smile. The elder who had spoken was at a loss for words. He had said that Lung Ruoxue was a criminal, but she was staying in a side courtyard. Furthermore, he had heard that it was the second elder who had arranged for her to stay. However, the second elder had not revealed Lung Ruoxue's identity to them. Otherwise, they would not have treated Lung Ruoxue as an ordinary guest of the Ning family and brought her here. If they had known about Lung Ruoxue's relationship with their own old grandmadam, they would not have dared to treat Lung Ruoxue this way, even if they had 10 times the courage. If I were a guest, is this how the Ning family treats its guests? The guests have been here for so long, and they're still allowing me to stand. If I'm a criminal, may I ask what crime I've committed? Did you steal something from the Ning family? Lung Ruoxue let out a cold smile and thought to herself, it seems like there are quite a few good-for-nothings among Godfather's descendants. Chapter 1507, Mediation 4. Miss Lung, you've misunderstood. We invited you here to discuss something with you, and it's not what you think. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the acting master of the Ning family, Ning Yuan, finally spoke. I wonder what you have to discuss with me, Patriarch Ning? I don't seem to have much interaction with the Ning family, do I? Lung Ruoxue smiled faintly and picked up the teacup on the table without any reservations. She took a sip of tea. Miss Lung, I heard that you have some misunderstanding with the Qi family. We're just trying to be the middleman to help you mediate. Ning Yuan's smile was very kind. However, Lung Ruoxue could tell a glance that this fellow was a smiling tiger who hid a dagger behind his smile. Ning Yuan looked like he was in his 40s. He was very handsome and somewhat similar to the ancestor of the Ning family. Moreover, although he was the acting master, he was the descendant of his ancestor's grandson. Therefore, there were many people in the family who were of higher seniority than him. Fortunately, the divine world was a world where strength was respected. Otherwise, he, as the divine emperor, would have been aggrieved to death. However, even so, he still had many elders above him. I have a misunderstanding with the Qi family? How come I didn't know about it? Lung Ruoxue looked at Ning Yuan with a face full of questions. Young Lady Lung, someone from the Qi family, said that you've captured their family's Biao young lady. So, they hope that you can be magnanimous and let that Biao young lady off. Then, the Qi family will not pursue this matter. One of the elders explained in an indifferent tone. The elder who spoke looked to be in his 40s. Although he was not very handsome, he was still considered handsome. Moreover, from the tone of his words, it was clear that he did not take it too seriously. It was just that the other party had come to beg him, so he was just making a small gesture. I'm afraid this elder is mistaken. I didn't capture the Qi family's Biao young lady. Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless. She thought to herself, could the cousin that I caught be Myling? That guy was not her captive. Miss Lung, we've already investigated. The Qi family's Biao young lady is indeed in your hands, and she's being watched by your subordinates. The elders said, and the other elders present did not interrupt. But she really isn't my captive. Furthermore, have the substitute patriarch and the elders investigated why she was captured? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. This, Ning Yuan and the other elders didn't know what to say. They only knew that Lung Ruoxue had a cousin from the Qi family, but they didn't know why. Their original intention was to mediate and get Lung Ruoxue to hand over the cousin so that they could give the Qi family an explanation. Therefore, they didn't care about the dispute between them. Acting family head, elders, I'll make it clear to you now. Miss Myling is not my prisoner. She was captured by the tiger couple beside me. Moreover, the husband has made it clear that as long as the Qi family pays for the mental damage and medical expenses, they will return her. But I don't understand what they said to you. How did it become me who captured Miss Myling? If I didn't cure his wife and child, we would have been buried in the tiger's mouth. All right, one of them is from your Ning family. If you don't believe me, you can ask him what happened. His name is Ning Hai. Lung Ruoxue explained calmly. Didn't you say that those tigers are your beastie? Since it's your beastie, then what's the difference between it and you capturing a person? It's just a matter of your words. Besides, how would beastie know to ask for mental damage and medical expenses from person? It's clearly what you, the master, want. At this time, another elder said in an extremely unfriendly tone, I'm sorry, they're not our beastie, so I can't order them around. Lung Ruoxue said disapprovingly. So, you were lying when you said they were your beastie? The elder who spoke continued. Did I tell you that they are my beastie? How come I don't remember? Lung Ruoxue furrowed her brows as if she was reminiscing. Didn't you tell Butler Ningyan? The elder warned. Oh, in fact, I only said that for the safety of the road. Otherwise, if someone has ideas about them, it will cause us trouble. Lung Ruoxue told them the truth. She didn't think that Ningyan was the one who had told them this. She guessed that they had probably heard it from the guards. You actually dared to deceive us? The elder was enraged after hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. Deceive you? Did I? Lung Ruoxue had a smile that was not a smile on her face. This was a heavy accusation. However, before she understood the elder's intentions, she would not say anything more. Of course there is. Our Ning family can't be played like monkeys. The elder continued. I didn't say you were monkeys, nor did I play with you. However, if you really want to think that way, I can't object. Lung Ruoxue sighed and said helplessly. When Ning Yuan heard Lung Ruoxu's words, he felt his face burn. In fact, he was a little annoyed that 19th Elder didn't know how to speak. In fact, he wasn't lying to them. After all, he wasn't saying this to them. Moreover, it was normal to tell white lies when one was outside. Therefore, he really didn't blame Lung Ruoxu. He just didn't know what was wrong with 19th Elder today. Fuck, did he receive benefits from the Qi clan? He could not help but think to himself. Actually, according to his original plan, he would just ask about the Qi family's matter. There was no need to take it too seriously. After all, the one who was arrested wasn't a proper young lady of the Qi family. As for Lung Ruoxu, since the second elder had arranged for her to stay in the courtyard, she might have some background. Therefore, he didn't dare to make things difficult for her. However, he didn't expect that the 19th elder would hold onto her weak point and wouldn't let go. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. 19th elder was so angry that he couldn't speak. He didn't expect this little girl to have such a sharp tongue. It was preposterous. However, even though he was angry, he knew that he couldn't win against her. In addition, the acting family head kept shooting daggers at him, so he could only give in and stop. Miss Lung, actually, we don't have any other meaning in asking about this matter. It's just that our Ning family and Qi family have a pretty good relationship, and they've come to beg us, so we want to mediate on your behalf. Can you let go of that cousin of the Qi family for the sake of our Ning family? At this time, Ning Yuan spoke. Moreover, his tone was very good and full of discussion. Master Ning, although I really want to let her go, she's not my captive, so I really can't make the decision. Besides, the tiger couple also said that as long as the Qi family pays for the mental damage and medical expenses, they will let her go. So, if the Ning family wants to help, you might as well help urge the Qi family to pay for compensation. The earlier we redeem Miss Miling, the less she will suffer. Lung Ruoxu reminded him with a smile. Chapter 1508. Fifth young lady of the Ning family. I'll pass this message to the Qi clan, but how much compensation do you want? Ning Yuan asked curiously. This matter was truly strange. Beastie actually knew to compensate. The husband said that his wife and children are priceless, so let them see what they can do. Lung Ruoxu said with a smile. I see. Ning Yuan was a little depressed. No wonder the Qi family was in such a difficult position. Anything that was priceless would cost a sky-high price. However, this matter had nothing to do with the Ning family, so he didn't feel pressured. Head of the Ning family, they'll have to trouble you with this. I thank you for your help on behalf of the victim's family. Lung Ruoxu stood up and said gratefully. After she finished speaking, she patted her butt and turned to leave. Her words caused everyone to fall into a daze. For a moment, no one noticed her departure. By the time they could react, Lung Ruoxu had already disappeared. She walked out of the main hall as if there was no one else around. Just as Lung Ruoxu stepped out of the courtyard, she saw Ning Hai wandering around outside the main hall like a headless fly. She chuckled and said, Big brother Ning, what are you doing here? Ruoxu, you're out? The acting patriarch and the elders didn't make things difficult for you, right? Ning Hai sized up Lung Ruoxu as if he wanted to see if she had been mistreated. Looking at Ning Hai's worried expression, Lung Ruoxu laughed and said, Big brother Ning, you're overthinking it. They didn't make things difficult for me. They just want to mediate the matter between me and the Qi family. The matter between you and the Qi clan? What's the matter between you and the Qi family? Ning Hai was confused. Ha ha ha. Seeing Ning Hai's expression, Lung Ruoxu laughed happily. Then, she told Ning Hai about what had happened in the main hall. Ruoxu, he'll go and explain this to the acting family head and the elders, in case they come and make things difficult for you again. Ning Hai frowned. Big brother Ning, you don't need to go. They'll come and ask you. All right, you haven't told me why you're here. Lung Ruoxu asked again. I'm just worried about you. My mother wanted to enter the main residence to cook for Miss Wu, so I followed her in. I wanted to see Butler Ning Yin, but he's been staying in the forbidden area, and I can't go there, so I could only stay here and see if I could find out anything. Ning Hai complained. They'll have to trouble big brother Ning. Lung Ruoxue said apologetically. Silly girl, I treat you like a younger sister. What trouble? I don't like to hear that. Ning Hai deliberately put on a straight face and said with slight displeasure. Hee, big brother Ning. I was wrong, but the head of the Ning family and the elders are easy to talk to, so you don't have to worry. Lung Ruoxue consoled. They're only nice to you because of Butler Ning Yen. Besides, they don't know who you are. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so polite to you. Ning Hai pouted. Although he didn't come to the main house often, he still knew the character of the elders. In fact, the masters of the major families were all the same. They looked down on people. No matter what, it's fine as long as I'm fine. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Ruoxue, let's quickly leave this place. A long night may cause more trouble. Ning Hai was still worried. Big brother Ning, aren't you going to wait for Auntie? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. No need to wait for my mother. She is still cooking for fifth young lady. That fifth young lady is very difficult to serve. I estimate that it will take a long time. Ning Hai said, Brother Ning, you should at least tell Auntie that I'm fine, right? I don't want her to worry about me. Lung Ruoxue reminded. Ning Hai's parents were both loyal and honest people. When they lived with her, they took care of her very well, so she also liked that couple very much. The news that she had been taken away by the main family of the Ning family would definitely make them anxious. Hence, now that she was fine, she wanted to let Ning Hai's mother know. What Ruoxue said makes sense. I was too happy. I have to tell my mother about this. Ning Hai patted his head and suddenly said. He had heard from his mother that he wanted to ask Fifth Miss for help. However, now that Ruoxue was fine, he naturally didn't need to ask Fifth Miss for help. When Lung Ruoxue and Ning Hai arrived at the courtyard where the fifth daughter of the Ning family was staying, they could hear ping, 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 pang, pang noises coming from inside, as well as loud curses. The two of them looked at each other in confusion, then walked straight in. After they walked in, they saw Ning Hai's mother kneeling on the ground in a sorry state. Sitting in front of her was a beautiful woman in a red dress. The bow tie's clothes were gorgeous, and her appearance was extraordinary. At this time, her face was stern, showing that she was in a bad mood. The whip in her hand was hitting Ning Hai's mother's body from time to time. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue understood that the person who hit her must be the fifth miss of the Ning family. However, before she could react, Ning Hai had already rushed up to her. When Ning Hai saw his mother being whipped, he didn't care that the other party was the noble fifth miss. He rushed forward to snatch the whip from the bow tie's hand and threw it on the ground. Then, he helped his mother up and glared at the fifth miss of the Ning family with an angry face. The anger in his heart rose even more. Where did this dog slave come from? How dare you offend me? The unparalleled beauty saw that someone had dared to snatch the whip from the tiger's mouth, interrupting her pleasure of torturing people. She roared in anger. Her roar frightened the two maidservants beside her so much that they trembled all over. It was clear how powerful this fifth young lady was. What right do you have to hit my mother? Ning Hai squinted his eyes and said in an unfriendly tone. Although he was not a direct descendant of the Ning family, he was definitely not a slave of the Ning family. However, some self-righteous people of the Ning family like to show their superiority and order these branch family members around like slaves. In fact, if he had not been traveling for many years, he would probably treat these direct descendants as gods and be respectful to them. Unfortunately, now that he had broadened his vision and seen more things, he also knew these direct descendants merely had more noble birth in them. However, the divine realm spoke with strength. Although his strength wasn't ranked among the Ning family's powerhouses, in front of these direct descendants who had lived in luxury since young, he still had the qualifications to raise his head and stick out his chest. After all, his strength was there for all to see. So, she's your mother, humph. Your mother's dishes don't suit my taste and annoyed me, so I only gave her a small punishment. What's the big deal? Fifth Miss Ning said nonchalantly. Although she didn't care about this boorish man in front of her at all, she was still wary of the killing intent he was exuding. Moreover, His strength was clearly above hers. Shut up. It's mother's fault. That's why Miss Wu is punishing her. Ning Hai's mother was afraid that her son would anger the fifth miss, so she quickly said this. She kept giving Ning Hai meaningful looks, telling him not to get involved in this matter. After all, she still wanted to ask the fifth miss for help in finding out about Ruoxue. She could not make the fifth miss unhappy. Moreover, she was very clear about the fifth miss temper. It would be fine after she beat her up to vent her anger. Otherwise, the consequences would be even more serious. Chapter 1509. Fifth young lady of the Ning family. To mother. Even if you've done something wrong, she can't just hit and scold you, right? Ning Hai shouted angrily. Besides, that fifth miss only said that her mother's food didn't suit her taste. Was that the reason for her to hit her? Auntie, Brother Ning is right. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue, who had been observing the situation for a while, spoke up. Ruoxue, you're all right? When she heard this familiar voice, Ning Hainyang suddenly turned around and saw Lung Ruoxue standing not far behind her. Her heart was finally at ease. Auntie, I'm fine. I'm sorry for making you suffer. Lung Ruoxue couldn't bear to see the people who treated her well being bullied, so this fifth miss of the Ning family could be considered to have formed a grudge with her. It's good that you're fine. It's good that you're fine. Ning Hainyang said happily. Auntie, quickly eat this pill. Lung Ruoxue saw that there were some wounds on Ning Hainyang's body, and blood was seeping out. She quickly took out a pill and stuffed it into her mouth. The pill melted in her mouth, and a faint fragrance still remained in her mouth. In the blink of an eye, Ning Hainyang's injuries were healed, but her clothes were still stained with blood. Anyone who saw it would know that she had just been whipped. Who are you? You dare to meddle in other people's business? When the fifth miss of the Ning family saw this, she roared in anger. Damn it! How could this woman be more beautiful than her? She had always been confident in her own beauty, but after seeing Lung Ruoxue, she felt a blow. This unfamiliar woman in front of her was so beautiful that it made her feel inferior. How could she accept this? Fifth Miss Ning, please remember my name. I'm Lung Ruoxue. Furthermore, I'm not a busybody. The person you hit is my auntie. How do you think we should settle this score? Lung Ruoxue said with a half-smile. She hated people who used whips to hit people the most. Therefore, this fifth Miss Ning had definitely violated her taboo. This also meant that fifth Miss Ning would not have a good ending. What did you just say? You want to settle accounts with me? Oomph. You are just an outsider who came out of nowhere, and you dare to speak rudely to me, a young lady of the direct line in our Ning family. You really don't know what's good for you. Capture this woman. The fifth young lady of the Ning family shouted angrily. The guards who heard her words hesitated and did not dare to step forward, because someone had already informed them that not only could they not provoke Miss Long, but they also had to take good care of her. After fifth Miss Ning finished shouting, she saw that no guards were following her orders to arrest Lung Ruoxue. She could not help but feel even angrier. She also felt that she had lost face. Damn it, what were these guards thinking? Of course, she did not know that the guards did not capture Lung Ruoxue because someone had given them a heads up. Lung Ruoxue watched coldly from the side as the fifth daughter of the Ning family jumped up and down like a clown. She smiled lightly at Ning Hai and Mother Ning Hai. Auntie, Brother Ning, let's go back. Now is not the time to deal with Miss Wu. Besides, she had to give her godfather some face. After all, she was his descendant. Mother, let's go. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Ning Hai didn't care if his mother was willing to leave just like that. He directly half-pushed and half-hugged his mother and Ruoxue and left together. When the fifth miss of the Ning family saw this situation, she wanted to stop them but couldn't. She was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Fifth Miss Ning could only helplessly watch as Lung Ruoxue and the other two left. Since no guard were willing to help her stop them, she could not help but vent all her anger on the guards and the maidservants. After a round of scolding, she returned to her room in anger. Walking on the main city streets, Ning Hainyang's face was still filled with worry. From time to time, she would turn her head to see if the Ning family's guards were chasing after them. When Lung Ruoxua saw this, she could not help but smile and comfort her. Auntie, don't worry. That fifth miss won't do anything to us. Little girl Ruoxua, you don't understand fifth miss character. She's very overbearing. This time, she's lost so much face that she won't let it go. She'll definitely find trouble with us in the future. Ning Hainyang sighed, her face helpless. Mother, since you've already provoked him, there's no use in worrying about him now. Just let nature take its course. Ning Hai advised, AI, you child, why were you so impulsive back then? It's fine if fifth young lady only finds trouble with us, but she will not let go of little girl Ruoxua. Ning Hainyang said worriedly. Ruoxua's strength was not high. If fifth miss really wanted to deal with her, wouldn't it be a piece of cake? Annie, I'm not afraid. I don't care about that fifth miss Ning at all. Lung Ruoxua laughed. Little girl Ruoxua, fifth young lady has been doted on since she was young and has never been so angry before. In addition, she has a bad temper, so anyone who is targeted by her will not have a good life. Don't go head-to-head with her. Ning Hainyang couldn't help but remind her. Actually, she was so worried because she didn't know the relationship between Lung Ruoxua and the Ning family. She only knew that Lung Ruoxua was here to find her godfather, but she didn't know that the godfather she was looking for was the old ancestor of the Ning family. Ning Hai was afraid of scaring his parents, so he didn't dare to tell them about this. That was why she was so nervous. Good. As long as she doesn't provoke me, I won't take the initiative to provoke her. Lung Ruoxua felt Ning Hainyang's care and promised with a smile. Actually, even if Ning Hainyang didn't say this, she wouldn't have taken the initiative to cause trouble. After all, she had to give Godfather some face. Otherwise, when Godfather came back and found out that she had taken care of his descendants, who knew how depressed he would be, after sending Ning Hai and his mother home, Lung Ruoxua immediately returned to the courtyard. After all, she had been taken away by the Ning family very suddenly, and she was afraid that Grape and Lianzi would be worried. Just as she had expected, Grape and Lotus Seed were currently pacing back and forth in the courtyard with anxious looks on their faces. Seeing their seemingly familiar actions, Lung Ruoxua could not help but laugh out loud. I'm back. Miss, you're finally back. They didn't mistreat you, did they? Grape sized Lung Ruoxua up worriedly. After confirming that her young lady was not injured, she finally felt relieved. I'm fine. Who would dare to abuse me? Lung Ruoxua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Besides, she didn't seem to have left for long. It's good that Miss is fine. I was just worried that you would be bullied. Grape said with a slight grievance. Grape, remember my words. I won't take the initiative to bully others, but I won't let anyone have the chance to bully me either. Lung Ruoxua said in a serious tone. Yes. Grape and Lotus Seed nodded, but they were still worried when such a thing happened. I told you this little girl would be fine. You guys are just worrying for nothing. At this moment, a loud voice reached Lung Ruoxua's ears. She didn't even need to look to know who it was that had spoken. Turning her head, she saw the Dark Tiger King lying comfortably in the courtyard, basking in the sun. Lung Ruoxua pretended to be displeased and said, They're concerned about me. Unlike you, who's so inhumane. Although I'm fine, I'm still in shock. I didn't see you come over to console me. Chapter 15:10. The fifth young lady of the Ning family. 3. I know you'll be fine, but since you're talking about consoling me, they'll give you that annoying woman as a consoling gift. The Dark Tiger King laughed evilly. It was in a hurry to get rid of the woman. Just a word of consolation is enough. There's no need to prepare a gift. Several black lines slid across Lung Ruoxua's forehead as she speechlessly said, That Miss Myling really has the heart of a tiger, huh? He wanted to send her away time and time again, sigh. Poor woman. It's not sincere to not prepare a gift. The Dark Tiger King shook its head and said with a disapproving look, You really don't have to prepare a gift. It's fine as long as you've done your part. I won't pick on your logic. Lung Ruoxua said hurriedly, AI, all right then. However, I'll always keep this gift for you. The Dark Tiger King said with some regret. Lung Ruoxua didn't know what to say. Was this tiger trying to cling on to her? She wasn't at a waste collection station. Hee. When the Dark Tiger King saw Lung Ruoxu's slightly depressed expression, he could not help but smile wretchedly. At this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard from outside the door, followed by a voice. "Miss Lung, you're back?" Everyone turned around and saw Ning Yin standing at the entrance of the courtyard with a calm expression and a slight smile on his face. "Miss Lung, I just heard that you were taken away by the people sent by the acting family head. I'm sorry for giving you a shock," Ning Yin said politely, even though he did not think that Lung Ruoxue would be afraid. "Butler Ning Yin, do I look like I'm frightened?" Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly as she teased. It doesn't look like it." Ning Yin wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said speechlessly, "The master will be back the day after tomorrow at the latest." Seeing that there was nothing else to say, Ning Yin could only drag out the time of the master's return. "Yes." Lung Ruoxue nodded her head calmly and did not say another word. The acting family head and elders don't know Miss Lung's identity. If they have offended you in any way, I hope you can forgive them," Ning Yin said apologetically. "Don't worry, Butler Ning Yin. I won't cause any trouble before my godfather returns. However, if someone tries to mess with me, don't blame me." Lung Ruoxue put the ugly words out front so that Ning Yin wouldn't be put in a difficult position and his godfather wouldn't feel awkward. "I will increase the security of the courtyard," Ning Yin said after some thought. "Yes." Lung Ruoxue nodded. Although she didn't think that Ning Yan's actions would prevent any accidents from happening, she still had to appreciate his kind intentions. "Butler Ning Yin, do you know who the fifth young lady is?" Lung Ruoxue changed the topic and asked around casually. "Fifth young lady? What's wrong with her? Did you do something you shouldn't have?" Ning Yan's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly asked. "It's nothing much. She just beat up an Annie, I acknowledge," Lung Ruoxue said casually. They'll send someone to give her a warning. She shouldn't dare to act recklessly," Ning Yin promised. However, he had somewhat underestimated the extent of Fifth Miss Ning's tyranny. When Lung Ruoxue heard Ning Yan's words, she also gave him some face and said, "With Butler Ning's words, I'm relieved. Actually, I don't care if she finds trouble with me or not, but she better not find trouble with my aunt's family. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless." "Don't worry, Miss Lung. I will remind her," Ning Yin promised again. However, Lung Ruoxue was not very optimistic about his promise. She knew the fifth daughter of the Ning family all too well. She was a woman who was loved and doted on. The fifth daughter of the Ning family thought that she was of a noble status. So how could she listen to the words of a housekeeper? Even if the housekeeper had a high status in front of the master, in the eyes of the fifth daughter, he was probably just a slave. "I'll have to trouble you, Butler Ning Yin." Lung Ruoxue gave him face. "This is what Ning Yin should do," Ning Yin said hurriedly. After the two of them exchanged some pleasantries, Ning Yin took his leave. After Ning Yin returned to the Ning family's main residence, he personally went to find the acting master, Ning Yuan, to explain the matter. He also asked him not to disturb Lung Ruoxue. Although Ning Yuan was not Fifth Miss father, he was Fifth Miss uncle. Furthermore, he had always doted on Fifth Miss. Otherwise, Fifth Miss would not have dared to be so arrogant and overbearing. After Ning Yuan heard Ning Yan's words, he was shocked and carefully asked about Lung Ruoxue's identity. However, Ning Yin did not give him a clear answer. He only kept telling him not to provoke Lung Ruoxue and to treat her with respect. Ning Yuan saw that Ning Yin was so cautious and quickly promised that he would remember it. After sending Ning Yin off, Ning Yuan went to the residence of the fifth Miss of the Ning family. "Uncle, why are you so free to come and see Shi'er today?" The fifth daughter of the Ning family, Ning Shi'er, said happily when she saw Ning Yuan. In this family, her eldest uncle was her biggest backer. Without him, she would not have been so doted on in the Ning family. Therefore, in the Ning family, the first person she had to please was her eldest uncle. Of course, eldest uncle Mrs. Shi'er," Ning Yuan said with a kind smile when he saw the cute Ning Shi'er. Shi'er also misses eldest uncle. However, Shi'er knows that eldest uncle is very busy. Even if Shi'er misses eldest uncle, Sheer doesn't dare to rashly disturb eldest uncle. Ning Shier's beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she said pitifully, She has grown up and is more sensible now. Ning Yuan said emotionally after hearing Ning Shier's words. Then he asked Ning Shi about her recent life and told her about what Ning Yan had told him. After Ning Shi promised that she wouldn't cause any trouble, Ning Yuan left with a peace of mind. After Ning Yuan left, Ning Shi seemed to have changed into a different person. Her beautiful face became twisted, and the tea set beside her was smashed to pieces. After venting her anger, she yelled at the void, "Men, go and find out who was the one who was talking nonsense in front of First Uncle." Ning Xia was furious. She could get whatever she wanted in the Ning family, and in the eyes of the elders, she was a sensible person. She also thought that her private actions were very secretive. Rather than saying that those who had been bullied by her would not dare to complain, it would be more accurate to say that even if those people did, no one would believe them. However, what she did not expect was that what she had done today had reached the ears of her eldest uncle, and she had even received a warning from him. How could she not be angry? Although Ning Xia didn't get any response after yelling at him, she knew that the person had already gone to help her investigate. After a long time, Ning Xia had gotten everything she wanted to know. Apart from Lung Ruoxue, she also hated Ning Yan. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue, who was in the courtyard, had no idea that someone in the Ning family already hated her to the core. After dinner, she went to bed early. Late at night, a black, ghostly shadow dodged the heavy guards and sneaked into Lung Ruoxue's room. Just as the black shadow was about to make a move on Lung Ruoxue, who was lying on the bed, it was interrupted by a black tiger. Chapter 1511. The Great Elder is Here. 1. The Dark Tiger King stood arrogantly by Lung Ruoxue's bed. Its huge, pitch-black eyes were staring at the looming black figure in front of it with disdain. After a long while, it slowly opened its mouth. "Where did this monster come from? Report your name. I don't kill nameless people." However, its words did not receive any response. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue sat up from the bed with a calm expression. Her beautiful eyes sized up the black figure not far away. He didn't know what this black shadow was because it wasn't a real entity but an illusion. However, the killing intent on his body was real. If it wasn't for the fact that the Shadow Tiger King felt an unusual killing intent, it probably wouldn't have discovered this guy. "Sister, don't worry. He won't be able to kill you." At this moment, Qing Ju's comforting voice could be heard in Lung Ruoxue's heart. "Qing Ju, what is he?" Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask. Qing Ju was very knowledgeable, so he should be able to recognize her, right? "Sister, if I'm not wrong, he should have the bloodline of the Night race in his body. However, it's not pure. You can also say that he's part of the Half-Night race." Qing Ju said after thinking. The Half-Night race. Lung Ruoxue's face was filled with question marks. Why was there another Half-Night race? Yes, his invisibility technique is not complete. Otherwise, he would not be so invisible. The reason why he is called a Half-Night race is because he only has half of the Night race's bloodline. As for whether the other half is human or beast, I don't know. Qing Ju explained. In fact, the Dark Knight race values the purity of their bloodline very much, because only those with pure bloodlines can pass on their talent. Therefore, the Dark Knight race usually doesn't marry with the outside world. However, no matter what race, there will always be a few aliens, which also led to the birth of the Half-Dark race. Although their birth is not as good as the Dark Knight race, they're the best materials to be assassins. Qing Ju continued. You said he's a killer? Lung Ruoxue frowned. His killing intent is very strong, but it's hard to determine if he's an assassin or not. Because no matter if it's the Dark Knight race or the Half-Dark Knight race, they're all born to be battle maniacs. They like to fight and are keen on fighting. Therefore, it's hard to judge their identity just from their aura. Qing Ju said helplessly. As Qing Ju spoke, the Dark Tiger King was already entangled with the illusionary black shadow. In order to not be affected by them, Lung Ruoxue found a suitable opportunity to leave the room. "Miss, are you all right?" Grape and Lotus Seed, who were just about to rush into the room, saw their miss coming out of the room safe and sound, and their hanging hearts were greatly relieved. "I'm fine. It's all thanks to the Tiger King for finding that person," Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. "Miss, we'd better share a room with you," Grape said worriedly. This courtyard had been built for many years, so the area of each room was not very big and the layout was not good. There was no place for her and Lotus Seed to step. Therefore, the young lady had asked them to go to the next room to rest. If it were not for their low cultivation level, they would not have appeared after hearing the noise. Fortunately, the young lady was safe and sound, otherwise they would have blamed themselves to death. "Silly girl, I'm fine." Lung Ruoxue understood Grape's meaning and smiled helplessly. "Please forgive us, Miss Lung. We're late." At this moment, another voice filled with self-blame rang in Lung Ruoxue's ears. Lung Ruoxue turned around and looked at the person who spoke. However, before she could say anything, Grape spoke first. "Why are you guys so late? If anything happens to my family's young lady, can you bear the responsibility?" Grape said angrily. Was this the Ning family's guard? They said that they were here to protect them, but they had come later than them. If they had really waited for them to come to protect them, they would have died many times over. "Miss Lung, I'm very sorry. We were too careless," the guard captain said with a guilty face. After all, this was the Ning family's main city, so they really didn't expect that someone would attack the Ning family's guests in the Ning family's main city. "It's okay, I'm fine." Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly and said nonchalantly, "Oomph. My family's young miss is kind and can't bear to see you all being punished, so you all have to be more vigilant in the future. If my family's young miss is missing a single hair, your family head will not let you off." Grape warned sternly, but her words made Lung Ruoxue snicker. "Don't worry, Miss Lung. Such a thing won't happen again," the captain promised. In fact, they were also afraid. After all, before they had been sent by head butler Ning Yin to protect this young lady, the head butler had repeatedly told them to protect these people's safety. Otherwise, they would be punished by the family law, so they didn't dare to not do their best. However, this was the Ning family's capital city, so they didn't expect that anyone would dare to make a move under the Ning family's eyes. This made them a little angry. Wasn't this eye-piercing? And Lung Ruoxue nodded. Actually, she didn't have any intention of blaming them. Who asked the enemy to be so cunning, to actually send someone who could conceal himself to kill her? And a human sense of smell was not as sensitive as a beastie's. In addition, she did not like strangers approaching her residence. Therefore, these guards were very far away from her residence, and it was natural that they did not notice someone had intruded in time. "Miss, let's go help the Tiger King eliminate the enemy." Through the window, the captain of the guards saw the figures fighting in the room and said, "No need, it can handle it on its own." Lung Ruoxue said calmly, "The Dark Tiger King's strength should be on par with the Midnight Assassin. However, humans' endurance could not compare to orcs." This was also one of the main reasons why she was so confident in the Dark Tiger King. "Tell me about that fifth miss of the Ning family." Lung Ruoxue thought for a while and said, she had not met many people in the Ning family's main city, not including Ning Hai's family. Other than the acting master of the Ning family and those elders, there was only the fifth young lady of the Ning family, who was said to be doted on. Miss Lung, the fifth young lady's name is Ning Shi-er. Her father passed away when she was very young, but her father was the acting master's younger brother, so the acting master took very good care of her. Otherwise, the fifth young lady wouldn't have been able to live a better life in the main residence than the young lady with both parents. In the hearts of many people in the Ning family, the fifth young lady is cute and understanding, and the elders also love her very much. However, in private, the fifth young lady often beat and scolded the maidservants and subordinates beside her. However, due to fifth young lady's position in the clan, those who were beaten and scolded by her did not dare to speak out. Even if someone were to complain, no one would believe it and there would not be a good end to it. So, As time passed, everyone protected silence. When the captain of the Imperial Guards heard Lung Ruoxu's question, he hurriedly told her everything he knew. The reason why he was so detailed was because he wanted to make up for his mistake. Chapter 15:12. The Great Elder Arrives, 2. It seems that the fifth young lady is quite good at dealing with people. Lung Ruoxu said with a half-smile. Miss, you suspect that the assassin was sent by the fifth young lady? Grape guessed. Grape, how can we make wild guesses without any evidence? Lung Ruoxu said with a smile. Miss, I was wrong. Grape quickly said. However, in his heart, his suspicion of that fifth young lady grew even deeper. Right at this moment, two lightning-like shadows broke out of the window one after the other. Damn it. Don't run if you have the guts. Let's continue for another 300 rounds. The Dark Tiger King's loud voice resounded in the pitch-black night sky. However, the only response it got was a shadow that disappeared into the night. The Tiger King was so angry that it could only stare. White smoke kept coming out from its nose. It was obvious that it was quite angry. Tiger King, calm down, Lung Ruoxu asked, amused by the Dark Tiger King's angry expression. I can't stay calm. This really infuriated the tiger. How could there be such an unrefined human? I haven't had enough yet. He actually ran away. The Dark Tiger King said angrily. This feeling of being stuck between top and bottom was really uncomfortable. He couldn't beat you, so of course he ran. Don't tell me he's going to stay here and wait for death. Lung Ruoxu was very open-minded. But I haven't had enough. Who's going to fight me? The King of Darkness of Night grumbled. His pitch-black eyes kept on scanning the guards, scaring them so much that they fled without even greeting Lung Ruoxu. A bunch of cowards. The Dark Tiger King was even more furious when it saw this. Tiger King, do you want me to play with you? Lung Ruoxu chuckled. You? The Dark Knight Tiger King sized up Lung Ruoxu and shook his head as he said, You're too weak. I don't want people to say that I'm bullying the weak. The Tiger King's face was filled with disdain. After he finished speaking, he turned around and returned to his room. As for Lung Ruoxu, who remained in her original spot, she felt depressed when she heard the Dark Tiger King's words and saw the look of disdain on its face. In fact, she felt extremely depressed. So, in the eyes of the Tiger King, she was weak. Was she really that weak? Could it be that the Tiger King didn't know the saying that one cannot judge a book by its cover? Judging a person based on their strength would cause them to suffer a great loss. At the thought of this, Lung Ruoxu shouted towards the Tiger King's room, Tiger King, come out and let's fight for 300 rounds. When Grape and Lotus Seed heard Lung Ruoxu's words, their foreheads were filled with black lines. They thought to themselves, how much of a shock did the young miss go through? She actually had to fight with the Tiger King for 300 rounds. With Miss Small Body, if she really fought with the Tiger King for 300 rounds, wouldn't she be exhausted to death? When the Dark Tiger King, who was in the middle of a lovey-dovey conversation with his beloved wife, heard Lung Ruoxu's provocation, it did not take it seriously and continued to do what it was supposed to do. On the other hand, the female white tiger, Yin glared at her husband discreetly. She was even more dissatisfied in her heart. This husband was good in every way except that he liked to fight. However, he should not provoke his savior. He clearly knew that the other party's strength wasn't high, yet he still sprinkled salt on the other party's wound. This was really too much. Lung Ruoxu waited outside the courtyard for a while. When she saw that there wasn't any movement from the Umbra Tiger King, the anger in her heart started to rise. Tiger King, you don't dare to accept the challenge? I didn't expect you to be so timid. Lung Ruoxu provoked him on purpose. When the Dark Tiger King heard Lung Ruoxu calling it a coward again, it couldn't stay in the room any longer. However, before it could do anything, it was subdued by Yin Er's light words. If you go out, he'll take the child and leave this place. Yin Er said with a smile. Yin Er, that girl is provoking us outside. If I don't go out, she'll think that I'm afraid of her. This is a matter of your husband's face. The Dark Tiger King pleaded, but Yin remained unmoved. She's my child's savior. What if you hurt her? Yin raised her brows and asked. This stupid tiger had no idea how to control its strength when it fought. Even a god king would be injured by its claws, let alone a delicate little girl like Lung Ruoxue. I want go out. The Dark Tiger King said helplessly. It knew that his wife's words were not without reason. That little girl would not be able to withstand one of its claws. This is more like it. Yin nodded in satisfaction. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she noticed that there was still no response from the Dark Tiger King's room. She could not help but feel a little dejected. It seemed like the Tiger King was determined not to come out. Miss, the Tiger King is probably sleeping. Grape saw that his expression was not good and quickly said, Well, let's sleep too. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly, Miss, you can sleep in my room and Lotus Seed's room. Your room is already uninhabitable. Grape reminded, No need, I have a place to sleep. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she took out a small and exquisite house and placed it on the empty space in the courtyard. As Lung Ruoxue's thoughts moved, the house slowly became bigger. However, the space in the courtyard was limited, so the entire house was slightly smaller than a normal house. However, it was enough for her to enter. Miss, what is this? Grape was a little dumbfounded. The young miss actually brought a house with her. This should be a spatial divine artifact, right? The house. Didn't you guys see it? Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. This was the first time she had used this house ever since she came to the immortal realm. It wasn't that she didn't want to use it, but she was afraid that others would be after it. After all, she understood the principle that a man's wealth was his own fault. However, now that they were in Godfather's territory, she didn't think that anyone would dare to snatch her things here. Miss, quickly put away. If others see it, it will bring you trouble. Grape quickly reminded. She had lived in the divine realm for many years, so she had naturally heard of a kind of spatial god tool that could be used for people to live in. However, it was extremely difficult to refine such a god tool, and it was not something that an ordinary god could possess. When she saw her own young miss take out such a spatial god tool that could be used for people to live in, she immediately felt a little dizzy. Woo! The stimulation that young miss had given her these few days was really too great. First, a godfather of the Ning clan's old ancestor appeared, and now she took out a spatial divine tool that was hard to get even if one was worth 1,000 gold. AI, they really didn't know what other secrets the young miss had that they didn't know. Would it scare them? Calm down. There's no one else here other than you guys. Lung Ruoxue gave Grape and Lotus Seed a consoling look. Why not? Aren't we the same? At this moment, a familiar voice filled with dissatisfaction was heard. Lung Ruoxue turned her head towards the source of the voice and smiled indifferently. You guys are really not human. You brat, you've become bad. The person who spoke was the Dark Tiger King, who had shut himself in the room earlier. Beside it stood Yin, and the two little tigers were lying on their mother's back with drowsy eyes, their faces filled with confusion. Chapter 15:13. The Great Elder Arrives 3. I thought you guys were asleep. How could you bear to come out? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she teased. Previously, she had called out for so long, but this black tiger refused to come out. Now a house had actually drawn them out. Sigh. It seemed like this house was more attractive than her. She felt a little sour in her heart. You heartless girl. We only came out because we sensed the fluctuation of spiritual energy and were afraid that you would be in danger. As the Dark Tiger King spoke, its eyes were fixed on the house that had suddenly appeared in the courtyard. Its face was filled with curiosity. Thank you. They'll be staying in this house tonight. It's safe here, so you can rest assured. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Little girl, this is a spatial divine tool, right? Aren't you going to take us in for a tour? The Dark Tiger King said, a little embarrassed. You want to take a look? Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and looked at the Tiger King's family. Yes. The Dark Tiger King nodded, and Yin Air's face was filled with anticipation. Then let's go in together. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she brought Grape, Lotus Seed, and the Tiger King's family into the house. After they entered, Lung Ruoxue told them to do as they pleased while she returned to her room to sleep. Lying on the bed in her room, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but sigh. The room that she had carefully decorated was still the most comfortable to sleep in. No matter how luxurious the house outside was, it wasn't her own. Looking at everything in the house, she missed the godly mainland even more. The next morning, the first thing Lung Ruoxue did when she woke up was to keep the house. The Tiger King's family did not want to leave, so she left them in the house while she came out with the grapes and lotus seeds. Not long after breakfast, Ning Yin heard the news and rushed over. When he saw that Lung Ruoxue was unscathed, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Miss Lung, it's a good thing you're fine. Otherwise, I really don't know how to explain to the family head," Ning Yin said apologetically. He knew very well how much the master doted on his goddaughter. If anything happened to Lung Ruoxue, he would not be able to bear the responsibility. "Butler Ning Yin, don't worry. He'll take care of myself." Lung Ruoxue expressed her stance. She was no longer a 3-year-old child. How could she be killed so easily? Moreover, she still had the cosmic bangle. "Miss Lung, I've arranged for some guards to protect you. In addition, I've also prepared a few maidservants for you." After Ning Yin finished speaking, he waved his hand, and 4 maidservants walked in. The first thing they did was to bow to Lung Ruoxue. They were extremely respectful and did not look down on her, just because she was a mere mid-tier divine warrior. Lung Ruoxue sized up the 4 maidservants that Ning Yin had brought with him. Although they weren't particularly beautiful, they were quite powerful. They were all divine lords, and their attitudes were neither servile nor overbearing. Lung Ruoxue couldn't believe that they were actually maidservants. "Hee, Miss Lung, they are maidservants that our Ning family has carefully trained, specially prepared for the women of the family. I was a little careless before, and didn't expect that someone would dare to fight in the Ning family's territory, but fortunately, Miss Lung was not injured," Ning Yin said with a look of self-blame. Hearing Ning Yan's words, Lung Ruoxue knew that if she didn't accept these 4, he wouldn't let her go so easily. So, she could only reluctantly nod her head. However, these 4 women were indeed carefully cultivated by the Ning family. Without her command, they were already standing in the corner like shadows. If she didn't know that these 4 were here, she probably wouldn't have even sensed their existence. Lung Ruoxue was also well aware that no ordinary woman had the right to use such a maidservant. After making some arrangements for the courtyard, Ning Yin finally left the courtyard in the evening. Now that the 4 maidservants Ning Yin had arranged for her to stay, Lung Ruoxue couldn't take out her room to sleep like she did the night before. Although this was her godfather's territory, he had not returned yet. In her eyes, these 4 maidservants were outsiders. Naturally, she didn't want outsiders to know about her trump card. Grape and Lotus Seed were a little upset that they couldn't rest in the spatial divine artifact, but they had no choice. Ning Yin had sent more people to the courtyard. Now, he could see 1 guard every 10 meters, which was really inconvenient. She slept for another night. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue was woken up by a clamor. "Young miss, you're awake. There are 2 old men outside, and they're clamoring to see you." Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had woken up, Grape hurried over to her bedside. "Old man." Lung Ruoxue was stunned, not knowing who Grape was talking about. However, after a simple wash-up, she left the room. "Little girl, you're finally awake. Sob, I missed you so much." Lung Ruoxue had just stepped out of the room when she was hugged by an old man. Looking at the old man's bawling face, she could not help but feel her forehead fill with black lines. "First Elder, why have you come?" Lung Ruoxue asked in surprise. Could it be that Luiyue had already received the letter she had asked Shin Nuo to deliver? However, didn't Shin Nuo say that he still had other matters to attend to and wouldn't be able to return to the Alchemist Guild headquarters so soon? "What do you mean, why am I here? You don't welcome me? You're a girl without a conscience." The first elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters looked at Lung Ruoxue with a bitter expression. I didn't mean it that way." I'm just curious. How did you know I was here? Lung Ruoshu asked. Of course I heard it from the Ning family. When the Ning family sent someone to deliver the letter, I was with that old thing. The great elder said honestly. Oh, where's Godfather? Lung Ruoshua looked around, but she only saw First Elder. Didn't Grape say that there were two old men? Could it be that the other one was referring to Godfather? But where was his Godfather? You damn thing, why are you hiding? He was still clamoring to see the girl just now. Hurry up and get out here. The First Elder's roar echoed in the courtyard, but no one came out. When Lung Ruoshua heard First Elder's words, black lines appeared on her forehead. She thought to herself, why is Godfather still hiding? What kind of game was this? Little girl, that old thing is shy. Seeing that no one had come out after a long time, the First Elder said with a smirk, Shy? It's not the first time Godfather has seen me. What's there to be shy about? Lung Ruokshu's beautiful face was filled with question marks. To think that the Great Elder could say it out loud. How could Godfather be shy? He has to be shy. You'll know when you see him later. The Great Elder's face was mysterious, but he did not say the reason. Lung Ruoshua didn't expect that First Elder would keep her in suspense. Helpless, she could only wait for her Godfather to jump out on his own. When the Great Elder saw that the master of the Ning family was too embarrassed to come out, he was overjoyed. He pulled Lung Ruoshua to sit in the courtyard and began to chat about daily life, asking all sorts of questions. It was almost noon when Grape came over to tell him that the food had been prepared. Only then did the Great Elder feel hungry. He looked at Lung Ruoshua expectantly, as if asking, what do you want to eat for lunch? Chapter 15:14. I don't have money. I only have my life. 1. Lung Ruoshua could not help but laugh when she saw First Elder's expression. Godfather and this Great Elder were both gluttons. However, it was not an easy task to satisfy their appetite. Fortunately, she had already made arrangements for the Grapes. Miss, were you having lunch? Grape asked. Usually, they would eat with the young miss on the stone chair in the courtyard. However, the Great Elder in front of her was not an ordinary person, so she really did not dare to make this decision. Great Elder is not an outsider. It's fine as long as you act as you usually do. Lung Ruoshua said with a smile. Right. I'm not an outsider. The First Elder said with satisfaction. Ruokshu's words were very much to his liking. If this little girl treated him as guest, he would be angry. Grape nodded and left with a smile. Not long after, she and Lotus Seed served up a delicious dish that looked, smelled, and tasted. The Great Elder drooled as he looked at the delicious food in front of him. He was about to reach out with his chopsticks to pick up the food, but who knew that just as he lowered his head, the food in front of him disappeared without a trace. Damn old thing, you dare to steal my vegetables. The Great Elder looked at the figure that disappeared in a flash, and his heart was filled with anger. However, no one responded to his anger. When Lung Ruoshua saw this, she laughed helplessly. Godfather, what the hell are you doing? Although the figure just now was so fast that no one could detect it, she knew in her heart that no one could snatch food from the hands of the Emperor God, except for her unrespectful Godfather. You piece of shit, return the food. Otherwise, they'll tell everyone about what happened. The Great Elder threatened the void. As soon as he finished speaking, a bang was heard. An empty plate was returned to its original position. Seeing this, the Great Elder's anger grew. Did something happen to Godfather? Hearing First Elder's words, Lung Ruoshua mumbled to herself. She was extremely curious about what First Elder was talking about. Little girl, do you know why this old thing doesn't dare to meet people? The Great Elder turned around and asked angrily. Why? Lung Ruoshua was very cooperative. Old thing, if you dare to betray me, I will not let you off. Before the First Elder could speak, a threatening voice was heard by Lung Ruoshua and the rest. The owner of this voice was naturally the master of the Ning family, who was hiding in the shadows. You stole my vegetables, and now you're threatening me. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The Great Elder pouted and said disdainfully. He did not believe that the old thing would dare to appear in front of Ruoshua. Godfather, Didn't you want to see me? Why are you hiding? Lung Ruoshua asked in confusion. My good daughter, it's not convenient for Godfather to see you now. Please forgive me. The depressed voice of the master of the Ning family came from the void, followed by a heavy sigh. Ruoshua, don't fall for his trick. How can it be inconvenient for a man? He's clearly doing something wrong and doesn't dare to see you. The first elder provoked, but he was already laughing in his heart. Damn old man, don't talk nonsense. When did I do anything wrong? As soon as the first elder's voice fell, the roar of the Ning family master rang out. Watching the two distinguished old men quarreling like children, Grape and Lotus Seed were a little dumbfounded. Was this the legendary master of the Ning family and the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild? How could they be like this? Could this be the so-called meeting in person is better than hearing your name? Listening to their conversation, Grape and Lotus Seed's idle dream was shattered. You guys stop arguing. Godfather, you don't need to hide anymore. Come out. Lung Ruokshu's forehead was full of black lines. Why couldn't these two people let him stop worrying? Although this was one of the ways they could bond, it also depended on the time. Girl, I said it's not convenient for me. The master of the Ning family's bashful voice came from the void. Godfather, he'll count to 3. If you don't come out, you'll have to bear the consequences. Lung Ruoshua was helpless and could only threaten him. Don't count. He'll come out. Yes, master. Master Ning said quickly, and then walked out from the back of the house unwillingly. Lung Ruoshua looked at Master Ning, who was using a cloth to cover his face, and the doubt in her heart deepened. Although this old man was a little narcissistic, he wasn't to the extent of covering his entire face, right? Could it be that he was afraid of getting tanned? If it wasn't for the fact that she could tell from the voice and figure that this person was her godfather, she would have thought that her godfather had been switched. Or had her godfather's narcissism increased again? She was filled with question marks. Girl, it's wrong to threaten others. Master Ning walked to Lung Ruoshua after he came out and said with a slight grievance, Godfather, is this your new image? Lung Ruoshua wiped away the cold sweat on her forehead and couldn't help but ask, Hee, girl, you're right. This damn old man can't be seen in public. The first elder said with some schadenfreude. What do you mean? Lung Ruokshu's beautiful eyes kept sizing up Master Ning, trying to find something. Little girl, why have you come to the divine realm? Master Ning did not answer Lung Ruokshu's question and tried to change the topic. He had thought that this little girl had already become a deity, which was why she had come to the divine world. Who knew that she was still a mid-tier deity? With such strength, how dangerous would it be to come to the divine world? Godfather. We'll talk about this later. Let's talk about you first. You're covering your face so tightly. Don't tell me you're afraid of getting tanned. Lung Ruoshua furrowed her brows and asked suspiciously, Girl, you're right. I'm afraid of getting tanned. The master of the Ning family seized the opportunity. Godfather, even a 3-year-old kid wouldn't believe you. Lung Ruoshua reminded. That's right. Little girl, this old thing is actually disfigured. The great elder revealed the secret with a wretched smile. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Shut up. The master of the Ning family shouted unhappily when he saw the great elder tear down his stage. However, the great elder was all smiles and didn't care about his anger at all. Disfigured, Lung Ruokshu's beautiful eyes turned back to Master Ning's face. As a reverent god, how could her godfather be disfigured? It's not that serious. I was just bitten by a few insects on the way back. The master of the Ning family was afraid that Lung Ruoshua would be worried, so he quickly explained. After he finished speaking, he even glared at First Elder fiercely. That damned old thing who asked him to be so nosy. Bitten by an insect? Let me see. Lung Ruoshua asked worriedly. The worms in the god world were very powerful and poisonous, so they couldn't be careless. No need. It'll be fine. The master of the Ning family refused. Godfather, Lung Ruoshua deliberately dragged out her voice, her beautiful eyes fixed on Master Ning, causing Master Ning's hair to stand on end. She continued to say, I'm fine. It's true. They'll have to see it first. You're the one who asked me to see it. Or do you want me to do it myself? Lung Roashua said with a faint smile. Although she had given a multiple-choice question, the result would be the same. Chapter 15:15. I don't have money. I only have my life to AI. If you want to see it, then go ahead. The master of the Ning family sighed and said helplessly, "Why is this girl so bad?" He even bullied his godfather, Sob. With Master Ning's approval, Lung Roashua rudely removed the cloth covering his face. Instantly, a face as swollen as a pig's head was revealed to everyone. Godfather, your face is so swollen, and you still say you're fine? Lung Roashua looked in disbelief at her godpa, who was originally extremely handsome, now looked like a pig's head. The difference was too great. I'm really fine. It'll be fine after a few days. The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly. Godfather, what kind of insect bit you? Even though Godfather said that she was fine, Lung Roashua was still worried. His face was not bitten by insects. It was stung by a bee. First Elder interjected. Damn old man, will you die if you don't speak? The master of the Ning family saw that the great elder was dragging him down again, and he was very angry. He didn't want his precious daughter to know that he had been stung by the bees because he craved honey. It was too embarrassing. Godfather, how could you be so careless? Lung Roashua shook her head in disagreement. However, she did not ask for details, lest her godfather lose face. I was too careless. The master of the Ning family lowered his head in embarrassment. He was too ashamed to see anyone. With such a weakness in the hands of that stinky old man, he would definitely take it out from time to time to anger him. As soon as he thought of this, he felt extremely depressed in his heart. Why was it that when he was embarrassed, the one by his side was this old fart? Godfather, just eat this. Lung Roashua took out an elixir from her bangle and passed it to him. The master of the Ning family quickly took it and put it into his mouth. Soon, he felt that the burning pain on his face had eased a lot, but his face still seemed swollen. Little girl, is my face still swollen? The master of the Ning family touched his face and asked carefully, Godfather, the pill I gave you can't completely cure the bee poison. The rest will be up to you. Lung Roashua nodded. After First Elder heard Lung Roashua's words, he stood in front of Master Ning and observed his face carefully. He even kept making TSK sounds. He then said, this little girl's medicinal pill is really amazing. It actually removed more than half of the bee poison on this old thing's face. When he and the master of the Ning family were rushing to the main city of the Ning family's divine realm, the master of the Ning family had already taken an antidote pill. However, that medicine was not very effective against the bee's poison. Otherwise, this old thing would not be willing to run back with a pig's face. If the younger generation of his family saw him like this, it would also damage his image as an ancestor. Therefore, they came back sneakily and directly came to this courtyard. You don't need to tell me that. Don't you know who refined this pill? The First Elder's words made the Ning family's master so proud that his tail was about to rise. However, the First Elder only glanced at him casually, then sat down and continued to eat. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family also sat down, not to be outdone. The two of them swept away everything, and not long after, the food on the table was completely wiped out. Seeing how they ate, grape and lotus seeds, eyes widened in disbelief. Their idle dreams had already been shattered, and now there was not even a bit of residue left. After finishing the meal on the table, the two of them looked at Lung Roashua expectantly. Their intentions were clear. Lung Roashua gave grape and lotus seed a look, and the two of them retreated to get food. She then accompanied the two old men to chat. Godfather, Great Elder, how long has it been since you guys last ate? Lung Roashua asked speechlessly. Looking at grape and lotus seeds' expressions, they seemed to be frightened. Shwera, without you by our side, there's no one to make us good food. The Great Elder complained tearfully with snot and tears. Lung Roashua broke out in a cold sweat as she listened to them. She thought to herself, do you guys have to act so pitiful? With your status, if you want to eat something, aren't there a lot of people fighting to get it for you? All right, little girl, can you tell me why you've come to the divine realm now? The master of the Ning family was still thinking about this. I was kidnapped. Lung Ruoshua sighed. Who is it? Who had the guts to kidnap my goddaughter? He really didn't know what was good for him. Don't be afraid. With Godfather backing you up, I won't let the people who kidnapped you have an easy time. Come, tell Godfather who did this. The master of the Ning family said angrily, Fuck, he even dared to kidnap his goddaughter. Wasn't he deliberately going against him? It's the Yin clan's old ancestor. Lung Ruoshua said lightly. Girl, who are you talking about? The master of the Ning family thought he had heard wrong and asked with uncertainty. It's the Yin family's old ancestor. Lung Ruoshua repeated. Why did he kidnap you? First elder had a puzzled look. That old fellow was not a lecherous person. Why would he kidnap Shue-er? This was really too strange. I don't know either. Lung Ruoshua said speechlessly. She had yet to meet the Yin clan's old ancestor after she arrived in the divinity. Pa! The master of the Ning family slammed his chopsticks on the stone table and roared in anger. How dare he kidnap my goddaughter? I don't care who he is. I won't let him off. Old thing, calm down. First elder consoled her. Then he asked Lung Ruoshua curiously, Shue, that old man kidnapped you. How did you escape? It's all thanks to my little beastie's help. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would still be trapped in the Yin family's main residence. Lung Ruoshua said with a faint smile. Following that, she gave them a brief account of what had happened at the Yin residence. The two of them couldn't help but laugh out loud when they heard it. Ha ha ha, little girl, you're the best. He actually became an elder. The first elder said with a face full of admiration. Of course, don't you know whose goddaughter she is? The master of the Ning family was extremely proud. Little girl Shue-er, since you've come to the divine realm, why don't you stay here for a few days? I can also accompany Godfather. The master of the Ning family said again after he was satisfied. Godfather, I'm here to ask you to send me back to the godly mainland. Lung Ruoshua said, feeling a little embarrassed. She had been brought out for so long. The demon and the rest must have been worried to death. Shue-er, it wasn't easy for you to come to the divine realm, so no matter what Godfather says, he won't let you leave so easily. If you're afraid that the demonic man will be worried, at most, Godfather will ask someone from the Ning family to go and inform him. The master of the Ning family said stubbornly. He had not seen his precious goddaughter for so long. How could he let her go back so quickly? Furthermore, it seemed like he had to thank that old man from the Yin clan for being able to see Ruoshua in the divine realm. However, he still had to settle the score with him for kidnapping his goddaughter. Chapter 15:16. I don't have money. I only have my life 3. All right then. Lung Ruoshua nodded in agreement. In reality, she had no choice but to agree. Whether she could return to the godly mainland or not, she still needed the help of her godfather, who asked him to not have enough strength right now. Seeing that Lung Ruoshua had agreed to stay for a few days, Master Ning and Grand Elder immediately beamed with joy. The grapes and lotus seeds that were served to them were all finished by them. After that, Master Ning brought Lung Ruoshua and the rest to his residence. Godfather, isn't it inappropriate for us to live in the forbidden area? Lung Ruoshua asked hesitantly as she stood at the entrance of the forbidden area. What's inappropriate about it? I have the final say in this family. The master of the Ning family said in an overbearing manner. Then he instructed Ning Yen, who had come out to welcome them, to arrange accommodation for Lung Ruoshua and the others. Don't worry, patriarch. I've already arranged a place for you to stay. Ning Yen said hurriedly, his eyes constantly glancing at his master's slightly swollen face, but he did not dare to make it too obvious. Little girl, you go with Ning Yen first. Godfather, they'll go get rid of the remaining poison. After Master Ning finished speaking, he disappeared with a whoosh. Miss Lung, please follow me. Ning Yen said respectfully. The first thing the master had done after returning was to visit Lung Ruoshua. This showed how important Miss Lung was to the master. "He'll have to trouble you again," butler Ning Yin. Lung Ruoxua said with an apologetic smile. "No trouble at all. This is what I should do." Ning Yin quickly said, "Miss Lung, this way please." Ning Yin continued. After leading Lung Ruoxua and the others to their assigned rooms, Ning Yin took his leave. Then, Ning Yin went to the door of the master's room, waiting for the master's summon. Not long after, a low voice came from the room. "Ning Yin, come in." When Ning Yin heard this, he pushed the door open and entered. He bowed very respectfully and said, "Patriarch, this subordinate is guilty." "Oh, what crime are you guilty of?" The master of the Ning family, who was sitting on the chair, said faintly, "I didn't protect Miss Lung well and caused her to be frightened. I deserve to die." Ning Yin reproached himself. "Who let that little girl Shui stay in the courtyard? Don't tell me it was your idea." The master of the Ning family glanced at Ning Yin and said in a cold tone, "It's the second elder. I originally wanted to arrange for Miss Lung to stay in the forbidden area, but the second elder said that Miss Lung is an outsider and it's not convenient for her to stay in the forbidden area." Ning Yin quickly explained, "Could it be that there's no place for Shui in the main residence?" Master Ning's face was dark as he said coldly, "The few days that Miss Lung arrived just happened to be the birthday of the substitute master. There were more guests in the main residence, so the rooms in the guest courtyard were a little tight. Therefore, the second elder asked me to arrange for Miss Lung to stay in the side courtyard. Originally, I wanted to arrange for Miss Lung to stay in the guest house, but Miss Lung was unwilling. She said that she liked peace and quiet, so the side courtyard was just right." Ning Yin continued, "That girl really doesn't like to be disturbed." The master of the Ning family nodded. Although he was not happy that the second elder had let Shui stay in another courtyard, he also knew that the girl probably wanted others to arrange it this way. "What do you mean by frightened?" the master of the Ning family asked. 2 nights ago, someone sneaked into Miss Lung's room and wanted to kill her. Fortunately, her beastie found out, so Miss Lung was safe and sound." Ning Yin wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and carefully replied. Although he had been by the master's side for many years, the master's fickleness was still very frightening. Therefore, he was very afraid that the master would vent his anger on him because of this matter. "Who ordered it? How dare you kill my goddaughter in our Ning family's territory? You really don't want to live." Master Ning narrowed his eyes, and a bloodthirsty light flashed through them. "This subordinate is currently sending people to investigate, but so far, Fifth Miss is the most suspicious." Ning Yin said bluntly. "Fifth young lady? Which fifth young lady?" The master of the Ning family was confused. "Fifth Miss' name is Ning Shi. She's the niece of the acting master and one of her descendants." Ning Yin reminded. "Oh, I don't have any impression." The master of the Ning family said without even thinking. "Why did she find someone to kill Shui?" The master of the Ning family couldn't help but ask. Shui had only been in the Ning family for a few days, so how had she provoked their fifth miss? When Ning Yin heard this, he quickly explained the whole story to his ancestor, including the relationship between Lung Ruoxua and Ning Hai. After all, he had a good impression of Ning Hai. If he could get the master's favor because of this, it would be a great opportunity for the little guy. "Tell Ning Hai to come see me tomorrow. I want to see this little guy." After thinking for a while, the master of the Ning family said, since Shui and the girl address each other as brother and sister, then, as the godfather, he should at least meet his own junior and thank him for taking care of Shui along the way. "Yes," Ning Yin replied, but he did not leave immediately. "Why haven't you left yet?" When he raised his head, the master of the Ning family saw that Ning Yin was still standing in the same place, and he was a little displeased. "Master, you haven't announced the punishment for your subordinate yet," Ning Yin whispered. "Take good care of Shui, and investigate the matter of Shui heir's attack. Consider it as atonement for your mistake." The master of the Ning family didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was he such an unreasonable person? If he wanted to punish someone, he should punish the culprit. How could he really punish his own subordinates? "Don't worry, master. I will do my best to find out the truth. Ning Yin promised, and then left the room. After Ning Yin left, the master of the Ning family took out a voice transmission jade plate and shouted, "You old thing, get the hell out here." After a long while, the jade token finally responded. "What's the matter?" A lazy voice came from the jade token. The owner of this voice was none other than the Yin clan's old ancestor who had kidnapped Lung Ruoxue. "You old geezer! How dare you kidnap my goddaughter? I think you don't want to live anymore." The master of the Ning family roared angrily. "When did I kidnap your goddaughter? Don't ruin my reputation." The master of the Yin family quickly said, "Humph, you're still playing dumb. You didn't kidnap my shui-er." Lord Ning of the Ning family reminded him angrily. "Shui could be Lung Ruoxue." The master of the Yin family was a little shocked. How did that little girl get involved with that old thing from the Ning family? She had just sent away a difficult one yesterday, and now this old thing was here again. This old man was much more difficult to deal with than the little guy yesterday. "It's her. How dare you kidnap my goddaughter? Humph. What do you think we should do about this?" The master of the Ning family roared aggressively. "I didn't even know that little girl was your goddaughter." Master Yin said gloomily, "That girl is already difficult enough to deal with, and now there's another unreasonable one a few days ago. Today, this old fellow came to our door again. If I knew that Lung Ruoxue was so troublesome, I wouldn't have brought her to the divinity." Now he had not achieved his goal and was in trouble. Chapter 15-17. I don't have money. I only have my life. For, do you think you'll be fine just because you don't know? The master of the Ning family sneered. "What else do you want? That little girl has already left our Yin clan and even kidnapped 2 of our Yin clan's maidservants. A few days ago, a stinky brat came to our door and caused a huge ruckus. It wasn't easy for me to get rid of him. For the sake of our many years of friendship, please spare me. All right?" The master of the Yin family pretended to be pitiful. "Spare you? No way. You kidnapped my goddaughter and caused her to be frightened. You have to compensate her for the emotional damage." The master of the Ning family said, unwilling to let it go. "Humph. If he let go of such a good opportunity to rip someone off, his surname wouldn't be Ning. Furthermore, this old man from the Yin family was known for being stingy. If he could get a piece of this old man's fur, how glorious would that be? Therefore, this old man was destined to bleed a lot. He thought happily, I don't have any money, but am dead." The master of the Yin family made up his mind. That brat had already taken a lot from him. If he was robbed by this old thing from the Ning family again, he might as well kill himself. Master Yin's words stunned Master Ning. He immediately reacted and scolded, "You disrespecting old man, look at you. Does your Yin family lack that little bit of money? Let me tell you, don't even think about being lazy when it comes to compensating my goddaughter. I don't have any money, believe it or not." Master Yin also roared, and Master Ning's eardrums hurt. However, what made the master of the Ning family even more incredulous was what had happened to the old man of the Yin family. Wasn't she just asking for some compensation? Why was he so angry? Or did he suffer some kind of shock? "I say, old man Yin, don't be poor in front of me. You don't have money?" The master of the Ning family clearly didn't believe him. In the 8 great divine domains, although the Yin family wasn't the richest, they definitely didn't lack money. Now this old thing was actually pretending to be poor? This can't do. He still wanted to make a fortune for his precious goddaughter. "I really don't have any money. All my money was taken away by a damn brat yesterday. If you want compensation, go get it from him." The master of the Yin family said dejectedly. From his tone, one could hear that he was not just depressed. "What little brat?" The master of the Ning family asked curiously. "That little brat beside that girl is really ruthless. Not only did he rob me to the point of bankruptcy, he also..." The master of the Yin family stopped halfway. He really couldn't say this out loud. Moreover, he had promised that guy that he wouldn't tell anyone about the agreement between them. Sigh. This time, he had boarded a pirate ship, and a pirate ship that could not be disembarked. "Return what?" the master of the Ning family asked. "Don't ask. In short, I've suffered a double loss. The master of the Een clan was extremely depressed. Although I sympathize with you, you still have to compensate for my good daughter's emotional damage. I can't let you kidnap her for nothing. After a moment of silence, Master Ning spoke again. Damn it, I've already compensated you, and you're still asking for more? The master of the Een family said angrily. When did you compensate? Why didn't I receive it? The master of the Ning family pretended to be confused. I've already compensated that stinky brat. The master of the Een family reminded. Old man Een, these are two different things. If he wants it, it won't have anything to do with me. You kidnapped my goddaughter, so I have to get back at shore, right? Otherwise, wouldn't I become a mere decoration? So, you can't run away from this compensation. The Ning family's master chuckled, and his words, unsurprisingly, made the Een family's master jump. Damned old thing. You're clearly looting a burning house. He'll still say the same thing. I don't have money, but he'll take my life. You do as you see fit. The master of the Een family said without fear. Then you can write an IOU. When you have it, give it to me. The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly. An IOU? When the master of the Een family heard this, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Fuck, what kind of people were these? One of them made him bankrupt, and the other wanted him to write an IOU. Did they even have any humanity left? They really went too far. Did they think he was easy to bully? He was filled with hatred. MMH, write me an IOU and compensate my daughter when you have the money. You won't die so soon anyway, and we're not in a hurry to get the money. The master of the Ning family laughed evilly. In fact, his ability to collect debts had been learned from that girl Shui. Today, he had tried it out, and it was really satisfying. What if I die? The master of the Een family asked, suppressing his anger. If you die, you'll still have your son and grandson. You have so many descendants, you'll definitely be able to collect the compensation. Master Ning said with a smile. Master Een was so angry that he couldn't speak. Old man Een, for the sake of our friendship, send me the IOU within a month. Otherwise, I and the Grand Elder of the Craftsmen's Guild will have to personally go and get it. Master Ning said with a smile. The head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild? What does this have to do with him? The master of the Een family asked in confusion. That old man has always wanted to acknowledge Shui as his granddaughter. Now that the granddaughter he has his eyes on has been bullied by you, do you think it has anything to do with him? The master of the Ning family raised his eyebrows and asked calmly. When a master of the Een family heard this, he couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat on his forehead and secretly thought, what exactly is that girl's background? Why were they all targeting her? Actually, the reason why he had sent Lung Ruoxue to the God world was because he had a high opinion of that lass. Who knew that she would actually cause him such a huge problem? AI. Now, he was filled with regret. If he could turn back time, he would not have shamelessly kidnapped Lung Ruoxue and brought her to the divinity. However, it seemed like it was too late to say anything now. It was already hard enough to deal with a little brat. Now, there was also the master of the Ning family and the great elder of the Craftsmen's Guild. They were all people he did not want to provoke. Sob, what should he do now? The reason why I brought that girl back to the divine realm was also because I like her. I don't have any ill intentions. At the Een family, I treated her well. She made a mess of my Een family, but I didn't hide it from her. So, on account of our many years of friendship, don't hold it against me. I really didn't know that she was your goddaughter. If I had known that you two had such a relationship, I wouldn't have kidnapped her no matter what. After some thought, Master Een softened his tone. You like her? Don't you know how old you are? Aren't you ashamed? When Master Ning heard Old Man Een say that he liked Lung Ruoxue, he immediately exploded. You've misunderstood. I don't like her. I like her as a person, Master Een said incoherently, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Master Ning. Chapter 15:18. An uneasy reception. 1. Isn't that the same? Don't tell me tongue twisters. You're already so old. You can't even be my goddaughter. The master of the Ning family roared in anger. It was fortunate that the old man of the Een family was not in front of him. Otherwise, he would have beaten him up. Old fart. He actually dared to have designs on that little girl, sure. He really didn't want to live? When did I say I wanted to be your godson-in-law? Will you listen to me properly? The master of the Een family roared back. Fuck. He had been stunned by this old thing. If it wasn't for the fact that the words God-in-law had stimulated him, he probably wouldn't have reacted yet. Good. You tell me. The master of the Ning family took a deep breath and said, Humph. Old thing, if you don't explain yourself, they'll go to the Een family's god realm with the great elder tomorrow to settle the score with you. He muttered in his heart. I really like that little girl, but not the kind of like you think. I brought her to the immortal realm because I wanted her to be my granddaughter-in-law. The master of the Een family explained in a low voice. Granddaughter-in-law, are you daydreaming? My Shwe already has a fiancée. Don't even think about her. The master of the Ning family shouted at the top of his voice again. He had taken a fancy to Shwe for a long time. If he didn't know that Shwe wouldn't marry unless she was that demon, he would have introduced Shwe to his junior a long time ago. As the saying goes, don't let your fertile water flow into others' fields. How could it be outsiders' turn to remember? I'm not interested in her anymore, Master Een said without confidence. With a man like that watching over Lung Ruoxue like a tiger watching its prey, how would he dare to have any ideas? You're tactful, the master of the Ning family said with satisfaction. Then don't bother with me. I'm already miserable enough. You can't add fuel to the fire. The master of the Een family pretended to be pitiful. These are two different things. As Shwe's godfather, how can I not stand up for my own goddaughter when she is being bullied? The master of the Ning family said stubbornly. I'm already very miserable. What else do you want? The master of the Een family had a headache. When did the old man from the Ning family become so stubborn? It was really infuriating. I don't care if you're miserable or not. You can't lose a single cent. The master of the Ning family said without any sympathy. After that, he recited the items that the other party needed to compensate him. At the same time, he kindly told the master of the Een family that if he really couldn't take them out, he had to write an IOU and send it to him within a month. Otherwise, he would bear the consequences. Then he cut off the voice transmission jade plate and pretended not to hear the other party's calls. The next morning, with a nervous heart, Ning Hai came to the forbidden area in the back mountain of the Ning family. Because he was summoned by the old ancestor, he did not encounter any obstacles when he came to the forbidden area. Please inform Butler Ning Yin that Ning Hai is here, Ning Hai said to the guard of the forbidden area very respectfully. Wait a moment. The guard responded and went to inform Ning Yin. After a while, Ning Yin came out and looked at Ning Hai. Follow me. Yes. Following behind Ning Yin, Ning Hai came to a unique courtyard. Ning Hai knew that this should be the old ancestor's residence. Before they entered, Ning Yin looked at Ning Hai and reminded him, Ning Hai, it's been a long time since the ancestor has summoned the clansmen, so you must cherish this opportunity. Don't worry, Butler Ning Yin. I will. Ning Hai said gratefully. Go in. The old ancestor is waiting for you. After Ning Yin finished speaking, he turned around and left. His intention was clear. He wanted Ning Hai to go in by himself. After hesitating for a while, Ning Hai gathered his courage and walked into the courtyard. The old ancestor's residence was not as gorgeous as outsiders had imagined. Instead, it was very simple and plain. Ning Hai walked into the courtyard and saw his old ancestor sitting on the stone chair. He quickly bowed and said, Ning Hai greets old forefather. As he said this, his heart was beating like thunder. He was extremely nervous. This was the first time he had seen the old ancestor up close. In fact, even those of the direct line did not have many opportunities to be met by the old ancestor alone. Therefore, he was very clear that this was definitely a great opportunity for him. Sit down. After observing Ning Hai for a while, the head of the Ning family slowly spoke. He had a good impression of Ning Hai. He was a simple and honest child. Thank you, ancestor. Although Ning Hai's heart was a little nervous, he tried to make himself look neither humble nor arrogant. He was a man with a backbone, and he didn't want people to say that he was favored by his ancestor because of nepotism. Thank you for taking care of Shui along the way. The master of the Ning family said directly. This is what I should do. I treat Ruoxue like a younger sister. Ning Hai said carefully. Although Ruoxue was the elder ancestor's goddaughter and was above him in both status and generation, his heart for Ruoxue was still the same as before. It would not change even if Ruoxue's status changed. In his eyes, Ruoxue was still that kind and understanding sister. I can grant you one request. The master of the Ning family heard Ning Hai's words and said lightly, Thank you, ancestor, but I don't need it. Ning Hai refused. Although this opportunity was hard to come by, he didn't want this request to be exchanged for his relationship with Ruoxue. You don't need it? Do you know how hard it is to get my promise? If it were any other clansman, I'm afraid they'd have already fainted from joy. The master of the Ning family said angrily, Ancestor, I know that you're willing to agree to one of my requests because of Ruoxue, but I'm not worthy of it. Ning Hai said with a face full of shame. Then he reported everything that had happened along the way to the head of the Ning family. After that, he lowered his head and kept silent. Brat, you think I don't know about this? In fact, you can't be blamed for this. Who asked you to be so weak? But you finally brought Shui to the Ning family. I should reward you for this. The master of the Ning family said calmly. But I didn't bring Ruoxue to the Ning family for the reward. Ning Hai explained. I know. That's why I'm rewarding you. If you had a motive, do you think I'd DC you? The master of the Ning family smiled, understanding. Thank you for the reward, but I really don't have any requests. Ning Hai thought for a while and said, No requirements? Don't you want to improve your strength or come to the forbidden area to cultivate? And your family, if you really don't have any requests, you can also make one for them. The master of the Ning family reminded. Ning Hai hesitated. He knew very well that this opportunity was very rare, but the promise of the ancestor was also very hot. If the other clan members knew about it, he would be in endless trouble. You can think about it. If you made up your mind, go to Ningyan. I'll bring you to see me. The master of the Ning family was very understanding. Then he let Ning Hai go. Chapter 1519. An uneasy reception, 2. After Ning Hai returned home, he was still thinking about the old ancestor's words. It even made him feel that it was unreal. As soon as he entered the door, Ning Shan told him that there was a gathering in the clan at night, and all the clansmen had to attend. We're going too. Ning Hai was very surprised. They were not directly related to the Ning family. The butler said that it was the ancestor's order. Furthermore, Mother has also gone to the main residence to prepare for the gathering tonight. Ning Shan said with an excited smile. The housekeeper he was referring to was not Ning Yin, but the housekeeper of the Ning family's main residence. Brother, have you seen the old ancestor? Ning Shan asked again. I've seen him. Ning Hai was a man of few words and didn't want to say another word. How's our ancestor now? Was he handsome? What did he say to you? Ning Shan asked with excitement. He didn't say anything. We were just casually chatting. Ning Hai didn't want to say more. Brother, what a great opportunity this was. I'm afraid that many of our clansmen will never have the chance to see our ancestor in their entire lives. I'm so envious of you. Ning Shan said, What's there to be envious about? Maybe you'll be able to see the ancestor tonight. Ning Hai patted his brother's head and said, Really? Ning Shan's face was filled with anticipation. Yes. Ning Hai nodded. In the evening, Ning Hai and his sons walked to the main house. When they arrived, they found that the main house was already full of people. Not only were the direct descendants of the Ning family present, but even the branch families living in the city were all present. This time, the gathering was arranged at the largest training ground in the main residence. Ning Hai brought his father and brother to the seats arranged for them. Ning Shan, who rarely had the opportunity to come to the main residence, looked around curiously. Shana, don't look around. Ning Hai reminded him in a low voice. I know, brother. Yes, Ning Shan replied, but his eyes were still rolling around uncontrollably. This training ground was not only the largest in the Ning family's main residence, but also the best. The Ning family members who could train here were almost all direct descendants. Branch family members like them, unless they had extremely high qualifications, were not qualified to train here. This was also the place he yearned for the most. With the passage of time, the elders of the Ning family also arrived one by one, but the main seat and its two sides were still empty. Just as everyone was discussing in low voices, the Ning family's supreme old ancestor finally arrived. After seeing the old ancestor, all the people of the Ning family present bowed very respectfully. All right. It's only a family banquet today, so let's forget about all these superficial gifts. The Ning family's old ancestor spoke and sat on the main seat. On the seats to his left and right, one was for Lung Ruoshua, while the other was reserved for the first elder. Yes, old ancestor. Everyone stood up. Then they realized that there was a woman beside their old grandmadam. Most of them were unfamiliar with this woman. Brother, isn't that Sister Ruoshua? Why is she sitting with the old forefather? Ningshan whispered in surprise. He was excited and surprised to see the old grandmadam, but he was shocked to see Lung Ruoshua. She's the elder ancestor's goddaughter, Ninghai said with a sigh. Seeing old grandmadam's attitude towards Ruoshua, he knew that old grandmadam loved Ruoshua very much. Otherwise, she wouldn't have let her sit beside him. However, at the same time, he was a little worried because Ruoshua would be remembered by many people. Sigh. Old grandmadam was putting Ruoshua on fire. This is too surprising. Ning Shan stuttered. He was so shocked that he did not know what to say. Ning Yuan and the other elders were equally surprised. They didn't expect that the woman who had been invited to the main residence a few days ago would be related to the ancestor. What should they do? To be able to sit beside the old ancestor, that identity was definitely not ordinary. At the thought of this, some of the elders felt guilty. She's Lung Ruoshua, my goddaughter. After taking in the expressions of everyone present, the master of the Ning family gave a simple introduction. His words were like a bomb that exploded in everyone's hearts. At this moment, the clansmen who did not know the relationship between Lung Ruoshua and the old ancestor were all clear about it. However, their hearts were filled with jealousy. There were so many clansmen in the Ning family, but only a few of them were able to receive the old ancestor's favor. Now, an outsider had taken advantage of them. How could their proud hearts accept this? Old man, what are you trying to do? Looking at the different expressions of the Ning family members, the great elder asked in a low voice with a little dissatisfaction. This old thing introduced the little girl to his family in such a high-profile way. He was afraid that it would have the opposite effect. Nothing. Shue, is my goddaughter and can be considered their elder. I have to let these juniors get to know each other. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. Is there a need for that? The great elder frowned, feeling that this was purely old man Ning's wishful thinking. Of course there is. Why else do you think I've gathered so many people together? The master of the Ning family raised his eyebrows. TSK, don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. You are just afraid that some of the younger generation in your family will be so blind as to provoke that little girl, Shue. First elder understood. However, he was not optimistic about Master Ning's thoughts. Instead, he felt that he was putting Lung Ruoshua in the limelight by doing this. Now, it would be impossible for Shue not to attract attention. Master Ning smiled. He did not deny that he had such thoughts. However, more importantly, he wanted to let the clan members get to know Lung Ruoshua. After all, Shue was his goddaughter. After Lung Ruoshua was dragged out by Master Ning to show off, she was extremely depressed. Could she leave now? She had already felt many envious and even thought-provoking gazes. Some were envious, some were probing, and some were curious. There were even a few eyes that were especially heated. Ancestor, I'd like to know, what right does this woman have to be your goddaughter? Suddenly, a crisp voice rang out, instantly drawing everyone's attention. The speaker was a red-robed woman. When Lung Ruoshua saw this lady, She squinted her beautiful eyes and laughed in her heart. Wasn't this the fifth young lady of the Ning family? He was really bold to actually make trouble in public. Moreover, the person who questioned him was the supreme old ancestor of the Ning family. This time, she wanted to see how Godfather would deal with his junior. The great elder was also in the mood to watch a good show. He looked at the master of the Ning family provocatively, then lowered his head and said nothing. The master of the Ning family raised his eyes slightly and looked at Ning Shi'er, who had just spoken, and said indifferently, "Are you questioning me? Don't tell me that I need your permission to accept anyone as my goddaughter." Ancestor. I didn't mean it that way. I just want to know what qualifications she has to be your goddaughter. Ning Shi'er listened to her ancestor's cold words and quickly explained with a stutter. Chapter 15:20. An Uneasy Reception 3. What right does she have to be related to you? The master of the Ning family asked with a cold smile. The old ancestor belongs to our Ning family. She's just an outsider. What right does she have to be the old ancestor's goddaughter? Ning Shi'er said unhappily. At this time, Ning Yuan, who was sitting at the main table, felt like dying after hearing Ning Shi'er's words. However, he hated his niece even more for not knowing what was good for her. She actually dared to question the old ancestor in public. Wasn't she looking for trouble for herself? If she were to anger the old ancestor because of this, even he would not be able to save her. Whether I have the right or not is up to me, not you. The master of the Ning family suppressed the anger in his heart and said, was this brainless descendant really from the Ning family? The Ning family's face had been completely lost by her. Great. Now the great elder had another excuse to laugh at him. Forefather, I'm also doing this for the good of the family. Our Ning family is one of the 8 great divine regions. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can be associated with our Ning family. Ning Shi'er said very seriously. Well said. The Ning family is amazing to have a descendant like you. You're even interfering with your own ancestor. At this moment, the first elder said with a smile, who are you? Our Ning family's matters don't need an outsider like you to interfere. Ning Shi'er glared at the first elder, her beautiful face full of displeasure. All right, I'm an outsider. They'll shut up. The great elder said helplessly. However, he was in a good mood. He also wanted to see how old man Ning planned to deal with this meddlesome descendant. Forefather, isn't there a family gathering today? Why are these random people here? Ning Shi'er continued to question the first elder when she saw that he had stopped talking. Great elder, we seem to have come to the wrong place. After hearing Ning Shi'er's words, Lung Ruoxua chuckled as she spoke to the first elder. Why don't we leave this place? First elder suggested with a smile. None of you are allowed to leave. Hearing the conversation between the two, the master of the Ning family couldn't bear it anymore and roared. Godfather, calm down. The great elder, and I just didn't want to make things difficult for you. Lung Ruoxua consoled him with a smile. We don't want to make things difficult for you. The great elder nodded in agreement. Rolling his eyes at the gloating first elder, the master of the Ning family turned to Ning Shi'er. He'll give you 2 choices. Either you sit down obediently, or you leave this place immediately. Chia, hurry up and sit down. When Ning Yuan heard the old ancestor's words, he quickly growled in a low voice. At the same time, he wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and thought to himself, fortunately, the old ancestor did not blame Shi'er. Otherwise, the consequences would be hard to deal with. Now, he only hoped that Shi'er would be more sensible and not offend the old ancestor. Actually, it wasn't that the master of the Ning family didn't blame Ning Shi'er, but with his status, he couldn't be bothered to argue with a junior. Thus, he left this opportunity to Lung Ruoxua. However, up until now, Lung Ruoxua had no intention of making a move. Ning Shi'er had to listen to Ning Yuan's words. In fact, she didn't mean to annoy the old ancestor. It was just that when she saw the old ancestor introduce the woman she hated to the clan so seriously, she was madly jealous. That was why she had lost her composure in front of the old ancestor. Seeing that Ning Shir had sat down obediently, the first elder smiled and said in surprise, "It seems that the substitute master's words are more effective than yours." When Ning Yuan heard this, he was so scared that he knelt on the ground and said, "Old ancestor, Shir has always been very obedient. She didn't mean it. Please forgive her this time." "Oomph." The master of the Ning family snorted and ignored Ning Yuan. Acting clan head, if Godfather wanted to argue with Miss Wu, would he still give her two choices? Right? Godfather. Lung Ruoxue raised her head and asked with an innocent look, "Shuer, this banquet was specially organized for you, so I'll ignore those irrelevant people for now. If there's anything else, we'll talk after the banquet." The master of the Ning family said indifferently. From the meaning of his words, it seemed that he still wanted to settle the accounts after autumn. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she laughed nonchalantly. "Godfather, Fifth Miss is also doing this for the good of the Ning family. Please don't be angry with her." Hearing Lung Ruoxue plead for Fifth Miss, Master Ning smiled indifferently. However, before he could speak, Fifth Miss Ning could not help but shout, "Who needs your fake kindness?" As soon as she said this, Ning Yuan felt cold sweat dripping down his body. He secretly raised his eyes and looked at his old ancestor, but he did not dare to say a word. No one could figure out his ancestor's temper until now. Logically speaking, if it were another family's ancestor, they would have already punished Shur with the family law for what he had done. However, his ancestor did not have much of a reaction and allowed Shi-Er to cause trouble. Moreover, the ancestor did not say anything, and he did not dare to be presumptuous in front of the ancestor. Therefore, he could only be anxious. Unfortunately, no matter how many looks he gave Shi-Er, his niece was unmoved. Although he was angry, there was nothing he could do. Although he was the acting head of the family, with the old ancestor around, there was no room for him to speak. "Little girl, I don't appreciate it." The master of the Ning family didn't say anything, but the great elder spoke up, hoping that the world would be in chaos. Ning Yuan was extremely depressed when he heard the first elder's words. However, he did not dare to reprimand the old man. After all, the old man's seniority and status were above his. "It doesn't matter," Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly, her beautiful eyes looking at Ning Shi-Er with a faint smile. Ning Shi-Er was flustered by Lung Ruoxue's stare. In a moment of desperation, she shouted, "I want to challenge you." As soon as she said this, everyone was stunned, and they looked at Ning Shi-Er in disbelief. Ugh, did they hear wrong? How did it become a challenge? However, many people still thought that Ning Shi-Er had gone mad. Otherwise, why would she challenge Lung Ruoxue? "Big brother, fifth young lady wants to challenge big sister Ruoxue. What should we do?" Ning Shan, who was sitting in an inconspicuous position, asked softly with a worried look. According to the rules of the Ning family, everyone had the right to challenge and also the right to reject. However, if one rejected someone's challenge, it would be regarded as a sign of cowardice and would be looked down upon. Although he had not known Lung Ruoxue for long, he did not want her to be looked down upon. "Don't worry, our ancestor is still here," Ning Hai replied with a smile. He wasn't worried about the fifth young lad's challenge at all, because her strength wasn't on the same level as Ruoxue's. If the weaker party challenged the stronger party and the stronger party didn't agree, they would definitely be looked down upon. However, the current situation was the exact opposite. The fifth young lady was a deity, while Ruoxue was only a mid-stage deity. Even if Ruoxue refused, no one could say anything. Not to mention, she still had the old ancestor's support. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.